pressure looks good.
Throttling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight down, lead off. Bring in, lead off. Off.
Yikes. You bet.
Okay.
We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome back to Starbase. We have another stream for you. Looks like we are hopefully gearing up for a test, another hopefully static fire test of S20. We'll see as this progresses, but as you can see on your screen, we do have tank farm activity in the form of the recondenser, which is oftentimes our cue to go ahead and take it live with commentary. Make sure to let us know if you can hear us, see us. Well, you shouldn't be able to see us, but you should be able to see Starship in all its glory. Today we have on comms, we have Adrian Bile. How you doing, Adrian?
I am doing great. Yeah, looks like we have an exciting evening ahead of us.
That's right. And also we have Jack Byer. How you doing, Jack?
What's up, everybody? Doing good. I'm always doing good on any day that we get Starship testing, so definitely doing good. I hope everybody watching live is doing well, and let's do some engine testing. Yay!
Yeah, let's do it. And also, I don't know if it's your first time on comms. First time with me on comms. A good buddy of mine that I met down there in Boca Chica, Nick and Sweeney. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, I am doing good, Steven. Thanks for having me on, and thank you for that wonderful introduction, because I could not be more thrilled to watch some starships go swoop.
Yeah, go swoop. When swoop, I saw people saying in chat.
The question is it going to be a lil swoop or a big swoop? Sorry, keep doing your intro.
Oh, no, we're good. Yeah, but don't forget, if you have any burning questions, we'll do our best to answer them. Just make sure to type at NASASpaceflight in the chat. And we have a nifty queue here. Oh, yeah, there's my card. Yeah, I'm Stephen Marr. Hey, I'm one of the photographers around here, and I do commentary sometimes. But yeah, hey, hit us with those questions, and we will do what we can to answer them. Yeah, so what are we expecting today here? We've got the road is blocked. Looks like the pad is clear. Adrian, what are you hoping to see?
Yeah, it looks like we are gearing up for a test, like most likely a static fire test. We had the overpressure notice delivered to Mary. We have NotMar posted. And with that, and with the recondenser spooling up, we are looking at a potential static fire test. The question is, A, if it's a static fire test, and B, how many engines they will use for this. So that's the exciting part about this.
Yeah, and this, let's see, the last time that we got to see a static fire test, that was full up 6 engines, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, and I do see that our question queue is gearing up. We're going to get some of these questions over here in the queue, see what we can't get answered for y'all. So did anybody see any cool Pelicans today?
Yeah, I mean, we're all here for Starship testing, but really, that Pelicam over on FleetCam was really where it's at.
Yeah, and I still have it pulled up on, like, I just have my phone just sitting here on the desk, like, just in case the Pelican pokes its head back up again.
Oh, Steven, the Pelican's venting. It's venting as we're moving into tanking ops with the Pelican.
Yes, don't stand under the Pelican when it's venting, y'all.
If you guys didn't know, we have another 24/7 stream besides Starbase Live, and it's FleetCam, and there was a Pelican, and is a Pelican on it, which is amazing. But we're here for Starship. Look at that tank farm go.
Which was kind of funny because we all paid attention to the Pelican, and then kind of missed that the recondenser started.
Yeah, Michael's like, hey, recondenser's on, guys. What are we doing? They're like, oh, gotta go.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I know that we were talking before this, Adrian, and you said that every one of these engine tests with Ship 20 has been different, but I still think it might be helpful for viewers to sort of get an estimate on timing now that recondenser is active. What sort of timing can we reasonably expect or guess at for a static fire based on what we've seen so far? Do you have any? I mean, around an hour is what I would go on based on past experiences, but is that Would you agree?
I'm really covering my base here, but it started at 11:50, and the shortest static fire countdown we had for S20 so far was in about 44 minutes, and the longest was about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So, yeah, so far they are giving me a hard time with the static fires of S20 because the countdown is very inconsistent and very unpredictable. But if I would do my usual guess, I would say like a bit lower than an hour, about 50, maybe 50 minutes ish.
Even though we're still kind of figuring out these new counts and the new vehicle, I think it's still helpful, right, to have sort of a range like between 40 and 80 minutes, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is it
it's
possible
not in
that
15.
Is it possible that this is kind of a noob question. Remember, y'all, I'm just a photographer. But is it possible that they're dialing in exactly how the countdown will go, and that's why we see this fluctuation in timing?
So
Steven,
there wasn't... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to encourage Steven to not sell himself short. You are much more than a photographer, Steven. Sorry, Adrian, go with your carefully crafted analysis.
So what was interesting about the last 6-engine static fire was the high frost ring. So it looked to me, and of course this is always based on visuals and not any deep knowledge, but it looked to me like they fueled it up more. Like they gave it more fuel for the test, which of course made the countdown longer, which then basically destroyed any prediction. And I saw some really interesting theories about that. One theory I kind of liked was, for example, that they would fill it up more, so it weights more, and when they fire 6 engines, they have more counterweight to push against the engines, which was a theory I could see that. That was a fun theory.
Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. I also wonder if another theory I saw or at least thought about was maybe 6 engines just requires more fuel in the tank to not have any kind of cavitation or what have you, as all 6 engines are, I assume, very thirsty for propellant.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's hit these questions. We got a few questions queued up here. Matt is wondering, is another static fire even necessary? What changes were implemented from the last static fire?
I wish we knew.
Yeah, I know, right? When we got the road closure notifications, and they've been rolling around the past couple weeks like they've been trying to do a test, but then we finally got the alert notice yesterday, and I was standing around and I was like, what are they gonna do? Like, they've already done Ship 20's 6-engine static fire. Do we really need more? But I guess we do, because we need to watch this. No one else is going to watch the tanks if we're not here.
If we're not here, yeah. If a Starship static fires in the forest and no one's there to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
That's the saying. I'm pretty sure.
My favorite, one of my favorite Starship tank watching idioms is "more data is more better." So that is enough justification right there. More data, more better.
I'm actually wearing my Tank Watchers shirt right now.
Nice.
Which you can get in the shop.
You can get that in the shop. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. You can have your own Texas Tank Watchers shirt.
Texas Tank shirt. It's kind of got a nice ring to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys can't see me, but I'm going to be doing a in live time reaction with the Starship plushie in my hands here, giving a play-by-play of exactly what's happening as the frost line goes up and as the 3 engines turn out. Like, it's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, you're not going to be here to see it, but
now,
so
is this
it's
a
going to be
reaction?
amazing.
Like the plushie is the one reacting, or the plushie is filming you, or what?
The plushie's just here being cute. That's its job.
Does it culminate with you like setting the bottom of the plushie on fire?
Also, you dump it in an ice cream or something to make it cold.
Well, it isn't in the freezer right now. Perhaps I should do that next time.
Take it out of the freezer, then set it on fire.
Don't do that to the plushie. It's so cute.
Let's not encourage people to do static fires on their Starship.
Look at the vents at the bottom.
By the flap right there.
The bottom vent.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so we're progressing at least. We were seeing activity.
Yeah, very early for these.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me just open something up.
Okay.
As Adrian's scrambling to write in Excel while he tries to commentate at the same time. Commendable, Adrian. I'll try and cover for you here. Will I talk really slowly? Hopefully that was enough.
So usually from no, that's that. So just to be clear here, this cannot be the engine chill vent if they are going with any timeline we saw before, because usually between condenser and engine chill vent there's about 34 minutes. So that wouldn't fit. If this is it, that's a totally new sequence again, which would fit this test campaign at this point.
They're just like throwing you curveballs. But those are the vents, right? Those are those same engines, but they've just become active much earlier than we've seen them. And they're not really quite I'm struggling how to describe this. They're not really doing what we've seen them do before previous S20 tests, although they are becoming more voluminous in their condensation, but they're not pulsing or anything yet. I don't know. This is interesting. And new behavior. Yay.
So I think what changed as well on previous tests on S20 is that it looks like they have them open more early, and they just start up with like very, very low force. And with a previous test, it looked like they already did. Like they opened when the vehicle was already full and pressured, and it had way more force behind it. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what timeline is at this point, but it's exciting. I love new stuff.
Yeah, and as you can see on the timeline, Michael has switched it over to engine chill. So we are progressing. The next thing that we would expect would be the siren, and hopefully we'll hear that ourselves. If not, we have Mary in the field, and she will notify us that she's heard the siren.
And there could be other sort of milestones in between now and siren, such as the tanks getting frosty, or the look at that.
Look at this. What is this number? What does this number represent?
That was not very smooth. You're supposed to say a milestone. I timed
Well,
it perfectly. And you
Speaking
also...
of milestones.
Yeah, well, thank you for the heads up there. That was very nice that I got such a telegraphed heads up that was going to happen. Wow!
Oh, look at this.
Oh,
All right,
look at that.
everybody, if you're not already subscribed, it would be really awesome for you to help us hit 500K during this Static Fire stream. No pressure, but that would be really cool.
Oh my god.
I love seeing that
What?
go up.
What? Oh, this
No
is crazy.
way.
It's been a long and winding road on this YouTube channel,
What?
and so many people have put so much work into it, especially Mary out there in the field, and it's just, I mean, it looks like as I'm talking, we're we're less than 50 now.
Wow.
So seriously, thank you everybody
Yeah, thanks
so
everybody.
much.
Just imagine 500,000 people in your
And
mind.
there it is.
There we go. Wow.
There it is. Wow.
There it is.
Somebody screenshot that.
Thank y'all.
Thank
That
you
is so
everybody.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
a huge milestone for the channel. I feel like we just recently hit 100,000, and now we're at 500K and climbing 500K and 100. Just wow! Thank you everybody.
Chris B is much better at telling the tale, but wasn't the YouTube channel started just as a place to kind of keep all of Mary's videos that she was
It was
grabbing?
It was like a bandwidth saving measure, because there's only so much bandwidth on the server that runs the NASA Spaceflight forums, which, shout out if you guys want even more in-depth analysis and discussion, the forums are a great place for that. And I think in order to save bandwidth, that was the initial motivation there. And we started putting videos up on YouTube, and that was right around the time where, I mean, basically a lot of people had a lot of extra time because of circumstances in the world, and we just mashed the gas on the YouTube channel. And thank you everybody for all of the support, because it's really been, I don't want to say overwhelming, it's been whelming. It's been really great, and just know that we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts, and it's one of the things that motivates us to continue doing what we're doing and providing you with this coverage, and we just appreciate it. What a great community. So thank you all.
Yeah. Amazing.
We might
Wow.
get a special guest here momentarily, but I want to hit this super chat. One of our regulars here, Rough Riders Show, saying taking some time off today and watching the stream with the family today for my 22nd birthday. Cheers all. Also, Jack, where's my apple boxes?
Oh my god. Okay, I was waiting for the super chat to finish so I could jokingly mention the apple boxes, but maybe since it's your birthday, I'll actually do it. But happy birthday, Rough Rider Show. I need to go to the post office for you, I know.
What are these apple boxes? What is that?
It's been like a year now. He collects apple boxes, like product boxes. I have many because I'm a hoarder and I have problems. And I said I would send him like my old iPad box and stuff like that. And I just, ooh, I hear a bling. Who just joined? Who was that?
Exclamation point.
I don't know who
Shadow.
he is. Who lets him loose on the microphone? I don't know. That was crazy. I was watching that. I was thinking we might do 500,000 by the end of the day. I thought it'd be nice if it fires up and we can get it a few hours after. But that counter going from what was it 499,800 to over the 500,000 mark was crazy. I just tweeted it. But yeah,
awesome.
You want to know the story behind it? I'll quickly give the quick story about it. We're a site that started in 2005. We called NASASpaceflight.com because stupid me was encouraged to start a new site to cover shuttle and NASA because the alternatives out there at the time weren't all that brilliant. They weren't considered as kind of shuttle sites, anything like that. There was like a mailing list and a few forums. It was not very good if you were a shuttle fan. So we started a site with a forum. And that's how all that started. And then we were just progressing as a site, going forward as a forum. We never had a YouTube channel. We just kept on going forward, and then we started covering Starbase because Mary was there and she was taking clips and she was uploading the clips to the forum. Now, anyone knows anything about websites, PHP forum, where you attach like a 30, 40, 50 megabyte file to a post and it gets hot linked, is basically just drains bandwidth out of your site and costs you a fortune. So we said to Mary, why don't we just start a channel on a YouTube side and just put them on YouTube? We weren't thinking anything more than like a couple of thousand subscribers maybe, and just a way of taking the bandwidth costs away from the site. And then suddenly the channel exploded. So that's how we've got from literally 2.5 years ago, from 0 to 500,000 subscribers, because Mary put her videos, allowed her videos to be put onto YouTube, and then we started taking them more seriously. We started editing properly. We got people like Jack and Brady and all the team who do the really good editing, real professional editors, making these wonderful videos you see today. But we started off just putting one clip on a Bandicam, which I did. I Bandicammed it off VLC and put it onto YouTube. That's how we started. And now this is where we are now. So it was a crazy story, a crazy ride, and that's a short version of it.
I mean, it actually happened for me that the sort of the pandemic hit around the same time as our YouTube channel was sort of growing very rapidly, and I was not getting a lot of work out here in LA because productions were shutting down. And so I just decided, hey, I'm going to spend as much time as I reasonably can working on these videos and working on this YouTube channel and doing this whole Starship thing. And man, it despite all the horrible things related to the pandemic, that at least worked out well, that we were able to provide this coverage to people around the world. And in cases where maybe they couldn't go to Starbase and they really wanted to, we could at least provide them with daily views of the place. And it's a really cool thing to be able to do. And just once again, thank you to Mary for literally being out there every
It's because it literally is, Jack.
day.
It's because Mary basically got a camera out there and started taking video clips. If Mary was not there, if Mary had not started taking video clips, there would not have been a channel. Simple as that. So that's
Sure
why
enough.
the channel is there. It's literally, we might as well just change the top title and just put Mary on the top and just leave it like that. So there we go. That's why it started. Might as well leave it on there. But yeah,
So
it's crazy.
what you're saying is we're going to rebrand to Mary Spaceflight.
MarySpaceflight.com. That's a new name change coming by January the 1st. Everyone who has the URLs, we'll make sure it forwards onto the right URL, but it'll be called Mary Spaceflight from now. We're MSF. Because you know what? People say, obviously, because we're a 15-year-old site, people don't realise why we're called this. It's because of the shuttle history of what we were covering at the time when we first started. But the alternative name I nearly picked, I was very close to buying this domain, was shuttlespaceflight.com. I'm not joking. Now imagine how well that would have aged right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked out very well at all.
Close call there.
Along these lines, I wanted to hit a couple of super chats, some very generous ones. We got 50 euros coming from Rocketer, I think is how you would like me to pronounce that, and then also from William Contino saying, "Keep it up, guys. You guys are awesome. I love following you guys." Thank y'all very much. Those are very generous super chats, and that's another thing we wouldn't be able to do without that kind of support.
I want to bring that up actually because the way we've expanded is because of several ways. It's the team we've got, but there is no way. I mean, for me myself, there's no way you can self-fund what we do out here. It is very expensive. All the things you even consider, which I would never have considered myself, thanks to the team for being on the ball and knowing what we needed. But that support has gone right back into the channel, and that's where we progress it forward. So the more support we get, the more we can do. But I totally appreciate that not everyone can do it. Some of our biggest supporters can't afford to join as a member, and God bless them, they're welcome here every single day. Because even if you can't join, there's things like the AdSense part of the side of YouTube. That's where you can make some money, but obviously the membership is a lot bigger revenue stream. So if you can support the site as a member, please do. It's very much appreciated. I'm going to do a community post in the YouTube channel. I think everyone can see where the posts go in the main channel, which will explain what options you've got to supporting it. But take my word for this. This is a public stream. And some of the best things I've read on the chat room is where they said they've been stuck in a pandemic, where they've been self-isolating, they've had nothing to do, but they've had the stream on. And it's kept them going. They've been able to talk to people in the chat room, watch something they love, and it just kept them going. And that means the world to me. So, you have to consider the cost of the thing, but I really do like the idea of people getting something out of it, because that's very rewarding for all concerned.
Yeah, I've had multiple people come up to me while I was in Boca. I'm sure Nick and Mary have both experienced the same thing many times over.
I've had that too, yeah.
Yeah, and people just coming up and being
definitely
thankful for the coverage. And that, it's just, I cannot express how amazing that is to hear that we provide a service to people that they enjoy, and further, even more than enjoy, like brightens their day, or, perhaps, even more than that. I've heard people say, I was really depressed and just bummed out about the state of the world, and you guys helped me, sort of pull it together. And it's just like, wow, we're just a bunch of nerds here, and if you found your nerd family with our channel, then that makes me really happy that you're in the right place.
As a person that recently switched sides, I can say it was a pleasure to watch you all when I was just watching during the pandemic and watching Starbase basically every time I can. So yeah, I know both sides, and it was amazing, and it is amazing.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention our own DOS, K-Space Academy in chat, says, NASASpaceflight is a media org that turns YouTube super chats into Home Depot trips. I said Depot out loud. What's wrong? But it's true. It's really true. We could not do this without all of your support. And like Chris was saying, if you don't have the financial ability to support, you can still hit that like button, and you can still tell your friends about us. And that's kind of one of my favorite things about all of this, is the people that can support what we do. And it's like a big distributed effort. Like, the people that support us are providing the coverage to people around the world who can't support us, which is amazing. And it's just teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
How are we looking on?
Sorry, go on.
How are we looking on time, Adrian?
Oh yeah, I was I was trying to paying attention to Starship.
We've got a lot of activity.
So it's still going good. We are now in 29 minutes actually since the start of the recondenser. So yeah, I would feel like if they didn't do a radical change, I would feel confident that we have at least some more minutes before we are getting into the business part of the stream.
Yeah, and since we are, I say maybe we should hit a couple of these questions before we get too far behind, which has already sort of begun.
This is tradition.
Yeah, let's see. I want to try to maybe hit a couple maybe quick ones. Justin DeLong says, could it be a header tank static fire?
That would be indicated by the header tank actually getting frosty. So in previous header tank static fires, what we saw was that the tip got very frosty. You could see like a ring forming where the header tank touches the outer tank wall, and some vents that are like general located in that area. I think we had some very funny names for these vents. We also had a vent that appeared on normal tank fires on there as well, which is called the mustache vent. Don't at me, that's the name. And yeah, I think we would know if it's a header tank. It would be obvious by the frost at the top.
Perhaps not by now, but definitely by the time they fire.
Yes.
All right, and Aerospace 001 says, is BN4 going to do any testing?
Can I take that one while I'm still here?
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, Elon's changed the names again, so now Ship 20 and Booster 4, or B4 and S20. He's removed the N for some reason. He did a tweet once where he put SN20 and he deleted his tweet.
Oh,
so
no.
he must have acknowledged that, oh no, I changed the name again. I've got to correct my tweets. But that's the thing I'm really looking forward to now, is where Booster 4 is transported onto the mount, the launch mount they've been working on, which is a lot of work. And that's when we'll start seeing probably a series of static fire attempts where they'll go for maybe 6, 9, and maybe the full 29 engines. And trust me, that will be some static fire. I think they'll hear that in Canada, because that is going to be completely crazy. Never mind Mexico, thinking Canada. It's going to be an amazing thing. But also, I'm so excited by the fact that they may lift Booster 4 with the chopsticks, because that's literally what the chopsticks are for stacking and catching. So I'm hoping it might not be by the end of this year. We might see Booster 4 on the launch mount lifted by the chopsticks and then go through a big static fire test campaign.
That would be so totally awesome.
Yeah, the first lift with the chopsticks, 29 engine static fire, boo, that's all exciting, whatever. First lift with the chopsticks, that's what I'm here for. I really want to see how those things work, and it's just so much cooler than a crane. I mean, we all love cranes here, we're tank watchers, right? But the chopsticks are like future crane. I love it. I'm going to be really excited to see that happen.
By the way, did you just boo the topic of today's stream?
No, the 29 engine static fire.
Oh,
that's
okay,
what he booed.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so good. I mean, that's not really better for today's stream, but yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Chris, while we have you, I think, maybe you have some thoughts on this, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat want to ask this, but Peter Hobbelsberger got to it first, wondering, what do you think about the leaked email from Elon?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Elon is you kind of, when you followed him for so long and seen how he acts as a manager, he's very much kind of like carrot and more like a whip person, if you could imagine that. He says things that I'm sure are said in boardrooms by others, including Blue Origin. I'm sure Bob Smith at Blue Origin has been sending some, we're in a crisis here with these BE4s. Tory Bruno keeps calling me and we've got no engines for him. The difference with Elon is he's so high profile is that email has found its way out into the media. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing to consider with Elon is his language is very kind of like, I'm going to whip these guys into shape here. So it may not be as bad as it sounds on the email. But at the same time, we can't sugarcoat it and say, well, they've got no problem at all. It's just Elon being Elon. They've obviously got a problem with it. And Elon is obviously concerned about it. I don't think they're going to go bankrupt. I mean, he's then since clarified his comments in a few replies to a few people on Twitter, where he was talking about the world economics causing something like that, where if the world economics going to such a bad scenario, a lot of people are going bankrupt. Never mind, SpaceX. So I think that was his concern. But it's something where, overall, my reaction to it was he is just whipping the guys up into shape. And that's just the way he does it. He comes across in such a way that it might, to another person who doesn't know him, sound extremely dramatic, but that's Elon being Elon, as far as I'm concerned.
Is it kind of maybe coming from the same place where he puts out these aggressive timelines, and while they may not get hit, but it does sort of speeds things up, right?
My thought about when he says 2 weeks and things like that or I'm going to launch this by next month or whatever, is he sets a target that is unrealistic in the bigger scheme of things, but it causes the team to push towards it. Now, they may miss that target, and they usually do, but the ultimate outcome is they then do achieve a target that would have been faster if Elon had not set such an ambitious timeline.
Right.
That's management
Definitely.
101. It's pushy, it's hard, but he hasn't got to be where he is by being soft. So that's just the way Elon is. And look at the track record of SpaceX. It's worked. And look at Tesla. He said they were in production hell or something, was it? Something like that?
Yeah.
And he was talking about Tesla might go bankrupt. He did a meme with a bankrupt sign over him several years ago regarding Tesla. So the same thing he said about the Raptor production situation. And look where Tesla is right now. So it's very Elon. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's classic Elon, and if you follow him for long enough and you know his tactics, it just makes perfect sense that he sets, like you said, an extremely lofty goal, and even if they don't hit it, they get further than if he had just set a reasonable goal. It's classic Elon. I don't think they're anywhere close to going bankrupt. They can raise more money too. They're valued extremely high right now. And the valuation of SpaceX keeps going up, and every now and then you see them do a capital raise. And I'm not a business person, so what do I know? But yeah, I don't think they're going bankrupt anytime soon. But if you want to clear out a room full of people, you don't say, "Hey, maybe we should get out of this room." You say, "Fire, fire!" Something like, "We're in crisis. Get out of the room." I don't know if that really is the best analogy, but that's kind of that's what I think of in a situation like this. And I'm looking at these vents at the bottom of Starship and those engine chill vents, and this is a very active vehicle, and I'm happy. I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm excited for some engine testing.
Yeah.
I'm staring at the ring just below the lower hatch, and am I seeing something, or is there a frost ring?
I was wondering the same thing. It does kind of look like it, huh? Right at the bottom of the bulkhead there,
Yeah.
sort of below
see it.
that bottom circular hatch, right around in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the start of a frost ring, which is interesting because this now looks more and more like the 6-engine test we had just weeks ago.
All right, let's
That
let's
frost
try to,
line's definitely growing too.
Yeah.
let's see if we can get through a few more of these questions. Let's see, yoked Tesla saying, does it not seem like SpaceX should still be doing landing testing with all this time to spare? They're acting like they have it nailed down after one marginal success. I don't know if it was marginal, but they did stick the landing.
I can't.
Go
Go
Adrian.
ahead. No, go ahead, Nick.
Okay. All right. Well, you got to remember that SpaceX knows how to land rockets, with pretty much extreme accuracy with the Falcon 9 program. So a lot of the same engineers who originally designed the Falcon 9 and worked on the landing system are working on Starship. And so they're bringing a lot of that knowledge with them into the Starship build. And yes, there were quite a few spectacular failures. I might even call some beautiful, except for SN11. We can forget that one even happened. But
Was that the foggy one?
That was the foggy one that no one got to see anything. Why did they even do that? Just raining starships at that point.
Thanks, FAA.
Exactly. They're just bringing all of this knowledge from the Falcon 9 program to the Starship program. So I would imagine the avionics and the software side of thing on how to actually perform it is, not a complete mystery to them. And so while more tests are definitely better, their time is probably best spent trying to get stage 0 built out.
Right.
There's
And that
also-
was the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jack.
There's also the component of how many things can you explode in South Texas before people start getting kind of grumpy about it. And as much as I would love to have seen them continue flying more test flights, that is definitely something I think is to be considered. And to your point, Nick, they have been extremely accurate both with Falcon 9 landings, and they have that expertise. But all of the Starships, save for stupid SN11, I mean, they came down over the landing pad. Like, they were in the right
Exactly.
spot. They had extremely good accuracy as well. It was more of a matter of sticking the landing. The fact that they could get to the point of almost landed wasn't even contested. I mean, even SN8 almost got it. You know, it landed right dead center of the pad. All of the debris was just sitting right there on the pad. Like, it was startling the extent to which that they were able to do it with 8, 9, 10. And I think it's yes, they only landed and didn't then shortly thereafter explode SN15, but fact of the matter is their landings for Starship are already extremely accurate, which is pretty darn cool, and maybe helps with that decision to not continue with those flight testing. And finally, they have to finish the launch site. And every time they close the launch site for testing, like they do right now, and they clear the pad, you can't work on a pad when it's clear and there's nobody there, obviously. So to finish,
they lose like 12 hours of
Yep.
work time. You know, every
Yep.
time they close the pad, they got to empty it out. It takes hours to do that. People are, inefficient. And they have to get back to work. So yeah, definitely.
yeah, you
And
got to
that's-
finish the launch site to go orbital, and they've got to go orbital to meet their goals. So yeah, just makes sense.
And they use that
Yeah, I mean,
landing pad
that's-
as workspace. And if
Yeah.
they have to clear
Yeah.
that workspace, then that takes, extra time.
Yeah, that's a really good
I mean,
point.
there's a reason why everyone like there's this joke about the tank watchers being obsessed about cranes, and there's a reason for that, because this whole preparation of stage 0 of all these infrastructure, that seems to be the most bottleneck-ishy thing right now. Like, they need to get that done, and I think this whole focus on getting that done instead of more testing sometimes underlines why people are so interested in cranes, in moving tanks, and in all of that.
Yeah,
Also,
I think,
I had no idea how much there is to know about cranes until I started following Starbase super closely, and I legit fall in love with cranes now. Just driving down the highway when they're using one of the bigger cranes on a bridge or something. I'm just like, ooh, I know all about these things. It's so cool. I love cranes now.
I've got to say, I got a strange look from a construction worker when I stopped on the path to look at the crane admiringly. He was wondering why I was staring with fond eyes towards his crane.
Also, I sometimes look strangely at steel barrels that are in different positions somewhere at the highway or something. I'm like, oh, is SpaceX doing testing here as well? You get a strange attraction to steel barrels. Weird.
It's a weird, similar kind of situation as when you've been at Starbase for a little bit, you kind of keep your eyes out for a truck moving around with parts on it or what have you. But then when you leave Starbase and you're driving around like a week later and you pass a flatbed with something metal covered in a tarp on the back, your brain can't help but go, ooh, is it a Starship part? And then your logic brain is like, no, dummy, you're not anywhere near anywhere that would be making Starship parts. You just, your brain just gets into that mode because that's the nature of Starbase.
Yeah, I totally was in that mode. Early November, late October, I took a trip out to Montana and down to Arizona and then back east to home. And every time I saw something big being hauled by a truck, I kind of thought, like, what am I close to? Is there any way that those are rocket parts? And most of the time, no. But yeah, you kind of think that way. You see something that's like maybe sort of resembles a capsule of some sort, and you're like, oh, that might be some kind of spacecraft.
I did a quick U-turn on a rural Texas road on one of my trips there to follow an object that looked like a capsule. You know what it was? A wind turbine hub. It's like, hello, McFly. What's the thing that's more likely to be there? A Dragon capsule or a wind turbine hub for I don't know, a place where there's a whole lot of wind turbines.
A whole lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you said that, Jack, because I don't feel quite as bad now driving around, even just in town in Boca here, just staring at every single vehicle that has anything on the back.
And that's the thing, is you have reason to.
I don't know. Like, sometimes they're just the wind turbine hubs, and I get way too excited. It's so funny.
No, I definitely hear that.
I think that's also a thing about that this whole Starbase thing is always interesting. Is that there are people that pay really close attention to Starbase, and that is so important to understand these tests better and to understand the whole program better. Because if you wouldn't have these people that are looking really, really close and thinking about every part that arrives twice, you sometimes would miss things and sometimes wouldn't understand what they are doing 2 weeks before they are doing it. And I think that's so great when you see this community puzzling things together to find out what they are doing next. And I love that aspect about it.
Says the guy from the community who spent a whole bunch of time puzzling together the timeline for countdowns. I mean, it shows.
To the community. Shout out to the community who helped me to put out these times, because sometimes I had to sleep and they helped me track the times, which is great.
Teamwork.
Sleep, what's that? Yeah, and I gotta say something very similar to that, Adrian. Like, a lot of times, I'll be taking clips or pictures or whatever, and people walk up and they'll be like, "Oh, so what's this or what's that?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Go ask someone on the internet. I have no idea what I'm looking at half the time," just because the whole community does such a good job keeping track of which ring segment is where and what a common dome looks like as opposed to a thrust dome. And half the time I'm just staring there taking the pictures, not understanding exactly what I'm looking at.
Yep, I'm right there with you. That's sort of how I do it. Like, I'll point at the stuff that it seems like Mary would want to point at, and it just kind of like it's kind of
what would Mary do?
Lead. Yeah, what would Mary do?
Look at that frost ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's clear it's a frost ring.
It looks like maybe the. No, wait, no, that's not the methane tank. That's the bottom of the nose cone barrel. I'll shut up. I thought I saw a frost ring above that second black hatch, but no, I'm just dumb.
Well, look at this. Robert Jewell coming in with another $50. Thank you so much for that support. Wow.
Thanks, Robert. We really appreciate it. Data. It's not something we've said in a while, but data isn't cheap.
Yeah.
At least I haven't said it, but data to do this is not cheap, and the fact that we have so many different cameras running, spewing those bits out onto the internet, thank you. That's a meaningful contribution. Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, I read every single one that comes through, because I'm quite old-fashioned. I watched the YouTube stream like you are all doing it as well. Yeah. All the other guys, most of the other guys have got like special screens and special camera options and blah blah blah. But I'm just watching the YouTube channel literally as everyone else is doing. So I see everyone's coming through, everyone with a question and support, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
By the way, on the frost ring. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Frost ring's way more important.
Just because I did a comparison with the recent test, if they're filling it up comparable to the last test, the frost ring will go higher than this hatch. It will basically be above the hatch as much as it is below right now as well. So that is the fueling or the what is it called? The height of the frost ring we reached the last time. So just to compare that.
Okay.
Cool.
And just hitting a couple other these super chats. Musical Wolves came in right at the beginning. Is this to test the flying tile system? I think that's a joke. Let's see. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name because I know that I will just butcher it. But here's to 500K and a static fire. If you're watching the stream and not subscribed, you should do so. These guys put in an extreme amount of work every day to bring us this coverage. Show them your support. Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I was going to give it another maybe Trigv? Yeah, see. And then we've got what do we got?
I just saw something in the super chat queue. Sorry.
Okay.
Look, my microphone. When I saw it, I kind of like moved my chair. Is that real? 200.
Yeah, same.
And then
paintball guy. My goodness.
Do what?
Wow.
Paintball guy it just did a $250 super chat. I don't know if it popped up for you yet.
That's crazy.
Steven.
Wow.
Thank you, paintball guy. Wow.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That is
I mean,
so generous.
Yeah, that's
people who
not
do
me, sorry.
$1 join or whatever. It's still appreciated. It really is. Without sounding like we're prioritizing people who spend more, that's a lot. That is a real lot of money.
Yeah.
May your paintballs always fly true, paintball guy.
Do they ever though? I mean,
Fly safe.
No,
I don't. Yeah, paintballs never fly straight.
no, it's like you have to like arc them right. It's kind of video gamey, honestly, but it also hurts.
Would paintball balls fly straight in space?
Yes,
Ooh.
maybe.
That sounds like
I
we
don't
need to get
Yeah.
Scott Manley on this video.
No,
I need a Scott Manley video on this.
I think they would, because the reason they curve is they're interacting with the air, right?
Yeah, that would make sense, but maybe the rotation might impart some sort of change in direction on them. I am not smart enough to be talking about this right now.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it may come out of the barrel, like not perfectly in the right
Yeah.
direction, but whenever like that last bit of energy you impart on it, it'll just continue in that direction. Of course.
Are we
with,
taking
like, gravity.
into account solar wind, because and we need to account for that too.
No,
Yeah,
perfect vacuum. Perfect vacuum.
A certain
okay.
Kerbal Space Program expert in the back channel says it would spin like a curveball.
Really? So the rotation wouldn't impart stability; it would make it spin. I assume that the mechanism for that is the rotation. Anyways, Starship.
Well, a paintball is full of liquid though, so it wouldn't be like a stable mass. It's spinning, you know.
I already feel too
Air
dumb
bubble.
for this conversation. I'm just. I'm gonna tap out. I tap out.
Anyone to shuttle yet?
No, but Jana did mention Nick on comms with some explodey emojis around it.
Ooh.
Oh, hi, Jana.
Is this your first time on comms today, Nick, or did I miss
Yes,
one?
it is. We were trying to make it work the other time, but couldn't quite get a stable enough internet connection, and so it's working this time. So
Which is
I'm
kind of
excited to be here.
surprising. It's your first time on because you're like an audio engineer, right?
Yeah, I dibble dabble in everything, so I have the setup.
Yeah. I actually met Nick on my first trip to Boca Chica, and we just, hanging around the same area, same times, and we just got to chit chatting, and then let's see, like a month or two later, I find out, much to my chagrin, that Nick had joined the NSF team, and I was like, oh wow, and, I was like, well, I not that y'all needed an extra opinion, but if you had asked me, I'd be like, yeah, that dude's great.
Well,
Glad to
thank
have
you.
Nick on board.
Appreciate the recommendation. Likewise, Stephen. You're passable. I mean, I hang out with you on occasion.
Oh.
It's fine. JK.
Let's see. Let me hit some of these new members. We definitely appreciate that membership. It helps keep the lights on, whether there are a lot of streams or not a lot of streams. Having that steady income definitely helps. We've got Bart Hepler with a launch director membership. We've got Martin Israel doing a pad rat membership. Bill Hitchcock doing the launch director membership as well. Let me see. Frank Albrecht down here. Thank you very much for that membership. Y'all holler if you see something, because I'm looking at the queue right now. So Tommy86 Pad Rat membership. Thank you very much. Izzy J Capcom. Isn't Capcom the level where you get access to the special Discord?
It is
channel?
indeed. Yeah, I've actually pinned a comment, pinned a post. Pinned a
Oh,
comment.
you did pin it.
Pinned a
Okay.
post, yeah, in the top, which is like a link to our community page, which I think everybody can read, I hope. And that explains different member levels and the way we're expanding the member levels as well, because we can add more bells and whistles, more cowbell to the memberships, which will be rewarding enough for people supporting the site. So that's something where Discord, our member-only Discord, which is a private Discord, so not a public one, we've got over 1,000 people, 1,167, I was told, was latest count, of like-minded rocket fans. It's a very civil place. We've never had to ban anyone from there, unbelievably. That's how good a Discord it is compared to other Discords. And it's a fun place to hang out, and you may get the occasional fun shuttle video from me.
Yeah. That Discord is so much fun to be in. Like, sometimes when I'm just, bored sitting on the couch watching NSF Live, and I'm like, what's going on? It's just fun to hop in that Discord. So many fun people there, for sure.
The fun story behind that is I'm a Discord noob. I've not been on Discord before, and this was my first one. And it is addictive. It takes up hours of my day, but happily it takes up hours of my day. It's a very fun place to be.
Shoutouts to the Discord mods as well. to
Yeah.
the team there. They're
Oh,
great.
definitely.
All right, let's jump back into the question queue. Mathematician23 saying, how much SL thrust do the Raptor vacs have? What's SL in this?
Sea level.
Oh, sea level. Oh,
Yeah, sea level,
okay.
yeah. It's more than 0 and probably less than a lot, somewhere in there.
It's about 3.
Adrian has the exact answer. Watch.
Yeah, no.
Oh
Um,
man, come on.
I'm not even sure. I don't have the number. I just have the number 3 stuck in my head right now because the thrust is always 3. But
3 kilopascals. There you go. That's the answer.
All right, so that's as close as we can get to
Sorry.
answering that one. Sorry. Let's see. Christopher Gauchi, did you guys see the video of the inside of the nose cone? What did you think of the look of the inside of it?
I think that person no longer works for SpaceX. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I did see that, and I think someone said in a Twitter reply that was SN9's inside of SN9's nose cone. So I guess you couldn't even get that view anymore, even if you wanted to, because, SN9 not being here anymore.
All right, and let's see. How are we looking here? Still at engine chill. You guys want to talk about some new items on the store? These bakery items? Look at this.
This?
Whoa!
hungry.
New
What?
Coffee mugs, t-shirts, and an apron.
No way!
I hope that's
Yeah,
not
that's
preempting some tiles falling off during the static fire attempt.
No, this is
And even
preempting
if
all
there's
of
a
them
bakery.
staying on. Yeah, there's a bakery to make more.
Hey!
Yeah, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and over here, real close to Port Canaveral, there's a place where these are made, and anytime I drive by there, I try to look and see if there's anything I can see. There's really not much I can glean from just driving by, but it is really cool to know that that's where that's where the magic happens inside that little bakery.
It'd be really cool if they did like a Willy Wonka style, like golden ticket tour of that place, because I really would just love to see the inside of it and see the process of these things getting baked. But yeah, this is our hexagon merch, because hexagons are the bestagons.
They
Yeah,
sure
so
are.
yeah, if you're interested in one of those, head on over to shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
Don't let those tile-related items fall off your cart.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
This
sorry.
guy in the chat. Who let
I'm
this guy
sorry.
in here? All of the puns. Secretly love it, but you're not supposed to like puns for some reason.
Here's another question. Speaking of tiles, some old dude wanted to know testing tile adhesives? ? I imagine every test is testing tile adhesives.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with adhesive is it's mainly the pin attach points they're going to be testing with this. Shuttle was adhesive issues, and that's where the questions probably come from, because the space shuttle, especially Columbia during the early time, was losing tiles, and that was related to the adhesive they were using. But with Starship, we've seen them apply the TPS, not only with adhesive, but also with pinpoints. They are being properly attached, and I think that gives them a lot more capability going forward.
I once saw what happens when you apply a tile backwards or upside down, however you want to say it. It was I think I mentioned it on the stream. I think me and Nick had a chuckle about it. But yeah,
that was funny.
somebody it might have been somebody that somebody maybe knew or whatever. They put it on their holes out at first and like tried to pat it on there, and then they realized what they were doing, and they kind of they turned and looked at the other guys on the lift with them, and they kind of had a laugh, and then they grabbed another tile. I don't think they used that tile.
That's
By the way,
gotta.
the hatch now is almost completely covered with the thrust ring.
Yeah.
So we are
Ooh.
getting closer and closer. They are fueling this thing up.
Yeah, I asked our member Discord, because I'm bad and don't have a note with this information in it, what one ring's worth of Starship can hold in terms of methane or LOX, because it's about a ring. It's about a ring high, that frost line now.
About a meter.
And mind-bogglingly, Are you ready for this? How much LOX, which is the tank that's filling up right now, how much LOX do you think one ring worth of Starship holds in weight, or your preferred unit, or whatever measurement? I'm gonna go with weight though. Well, how much do you think it holds?
I am not allowed to answer because I already read the answer.
Well, I haven't read the answer, and I will guess 1,000 small thimbles full of liquid.
Oh God.
Thimbles?
I didn't say
really
in
just-
thimbles.
You said preferred measurement, and I really just wanted to hear Chris B say the word thimble. That's
Well, it
all I
worked.
was doing.
It worked. It's 142 tons of LOX. Mind-boggling.
Oh,
Wow.
How is that? How is that even that seems like it's not even possible. I was like, I had to ask them to double check it. But
That's a LOX.
well,
14 washing machines, says Roland.
so yeah, I don't know. I just thought that would be an interesting data point to sort of mention there and sort of give everybody an idea of what we're looking at. Starship big, Starship very, very big, and there's about, well, the bulkhead adds an additional amount, but the amount that we've seen loaded since we started talking about that frost line is about 142 tons of LOX, which is insane.
That is a lox of LOX.
Now I just want a salmon
go ahead.
bagel. No, I just want a salmon bagel now. Anyways, go ahead.
What is salmon bagel?
Yeah, lots.
Let's see. Billy Charles said with another of these very generous super chats, $50, saying, "My earlier super chat question never made it up to you guys. Where was that?
Uh-oh.
I just searched my queue page here for a previous one from you, Billy. I'm not sure. Maybe it was in the other queue. I don't know, but thank you very much for that support, man.
Tell you what, Billy,
guys are...
ask it again. Don't super chat it. Just ask it again. I'll look out for your name, and we'll find a question.
Right. Yeah, I searched. I found. I was able to find that one, but I did not find the other one. Let's see. Are we safe to continue asking questions?
I'll
Yeah,
be
I
keeping
think
an eye
so.
out for the potential police siren by now. If it comes, remember it's hit and miss if the police siren is actually audible.
Right.
But Mary will let us know as soon as it does, if it does happen. But we are keeping it. Oh, look at this tri-vent. I think this is close.
No pulsing.
So,
Interesting.
Adrian, what are we looking here at Trident? I've heard plenty of people mention that, but I'm not familiar with what that
the
actually looks like.
pulsing sometimes starts very soon before the. So sometimes it starts really soon before the static, but sometimes it's just not. But we should be like, I just want to point out we should be ready to be quiet very fast here.
Okay.
Sometimes this pulsing happens seconds before the static. But we haven't heard a siren yet, so nah.
There
there
have
was-
been some that there was no siren, though, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Am I making that
that's
up?
what-
Yeah.
We've got to be careful because I guarantee you the time when it'll happen without notice is when we're talking. So the trick is though the actual visuals of the static fire and the time that takes a sound to arrive at the microphone gives us a chance to shut up. So that's one thing.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, let's see. Let's go with Actions Lat. Do you think that SpaceX will be able to retrieve the Hubble telescope with Starship in order to preserve it for a museum?
Yes, Elon answered my question about that. Hooray, on Twitter.
Hey!
Because many people were asking, and he said it's possible. I don't think it's viable. That's the trick, but it's possible. He definitely said it was possible. So that is
I
something
think
they
we
can
need
do.
to start like a non-profit like
Yeah,
fundraising
well-
campaign to do this because I really want to visit Hubble in a museum one day. That would be so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
That
but
is.
that's-
Sorry, I was
if
going to
it-
say that is
Oh, go
something
ahead.
where an exhibition. Sorry, I'm talking over you, Stephen. An exhibition or such would definitely be able to raise the funds for it. It's just a question. They'll need a grapple arm inside the payload area of the nose cone on Starship, and it's a lot of work to get it back down safely. So they need attachment points and all manner of things. But I reckon if money could be raised for it, and if Elon says it's viable, there's always a chance.
Yeah, my question is, at what point would we ever just say, okay, that's it, no more Hubble, we can't repair it? I mean, because there have been problems throughout the years, but they've always been able to get it back online, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
currently there's, I think, all but one science instrument working again after their recent shutdown of the instruments again.
I always love seeing the shuttles and other spacecraft on display in museums, and you see the beating that they take on reentry and on orbit. And a used spacecraft looks so much cooler than a brand new shiny fresh one, although that does look really cool too. But a used one is such a cool look, and I can only imagine how speechless I would be to stand in front of Hubble and look at it and see what it has experienced over the decades. It'd be really, really amazing. But hey, if Shuttle could bring back a spy satellite after an orbit once around, hey, Starship can bring Hubble back someday. That I rate it as plausible. That'd be really great to see.
Yeah, and I'm anxious to see a Starship that can, that can do stuff like that. That's not essentially just a big tank. One that actually has, an opening payload door.
can you imagine how well it would go down with all the astronomy fans who have been complaining about Starlink to say we're bringing back Hubble on Starship? That would be a great PR exercise for SpaceX for starters.
Hey, Billy, we did find your question, and it goes as, I was asking if you're going to be hiring artists/graphic designers in the future, and if so, who or where to apply. Thanks.
Yep, email support@nasaspaceflight.com and that'll come through to me.
There you go.
You can DM me on Twitter, but I get so much spam on Twitter now it's impossible to keep up with messages. But you try it. I'll keep checking it now and again. But the best way is an email, and that'll be support@nasaspaceflight.com, one word.
There you go.
Can I ask for editors too? If you're a video editor and you edit in Adobe Premiere, contact me or Chris.
All right.
Because we're okay for Bandicam editors, aren't we, Jack?
Yeah, we have one position for a Bandicam editor, and it is filled. Like, it is completely filled. I'd say grumpily filled.
People try
Toshio,
to take it away. It's not happening. Bandicam is staying.
all right, let's see. Toshio Calderi saying, have any of the Raptors been swapped out since the last static fire?
Siren. Mary is saying
Siren.
Siren.
Oh, we have Siren.
Yay! Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, Stephen, but I
No,
saw
it's
that. I had to do it.
Totally appropriate. Yes, absolutely. Always interrupt. So can we, so we're going to assume that was on time, right? And so we should have about 10 minutes to go. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, so funny story here, which I think I can tell. I just guessed a bit in the back channel about it maybe being 107 based on the previous test, and yeah, this fits. It might be 107.
Awesome.
So yeah, woo.
Wow.
Right, I'm going to remove myself from audio because that'd be one less person who potentially talks over this. I'll come back later.
All right, thanks, Chris.
So Jack, how is your browser behaving?
I was muted, so you didn't hear me scoff when you asked that, but my browser is currently behaving well. I will not refrain from talking about my browser for the rest of the broadcast.
Okay, and does anybody know, did we swap out any engines since the last static fire?
Oh, we have not. I've been watching quite carefully for any signs of any engines being swapped out. But every single day they have skyjacks underneath the skirt there working on, well, Lord knows what, probably the engines, possibly, plumbing or flight systems or whatever, but they have not removed any Raptors off of Ship 20. And I was honestly kind of surprised because in the past we've seen them ship them back to McGregor or even Hawthorne for, kind of more invasive testing. But yeah, they're still the same Raptors as far as I know.
Well, that's actually pretty cool. That kind of bodes well for how that test went and how the Raptors held up, right? I would think.
I would say so.
All right. Okay, we're going to keep hitting these questions, and we will keep an eye over here just in case that siren is a little off on the timing. Six String Simpleton saying, were all the TPS tiles replaced before road closure today, or were just some replaced?
Yeah, well, the TPS tiles are always in flux. Even sometimes strong wind can knock them off. But as far as it was last night, I couldn't get out to the pad earlier this morning. They had already closed the road. But last night there were still a few tiles missing from the last few static fires. But yeah, we'll see if more get knocked off. Elon said they're shaking out all the kinks, so we'll see.
All right. And Osprey GT asking how many engines will be fired.
I would. So this is so far very comparable to the pre-burner test of and following static fire test of 6 engines in basically every way. And so don't quote me on that, but it might be 6.
I mean, I think we can reasonably guess that they would do 6 again. They've already incrementally worked up to that, and at this point, the vehicle has 6. Fire 6. But that's an interesting data point, Adrian. I like your data far better than my baseless speculation.
Also, the vehicle is filled again, like we saw with the 6 engine static. So that might be another interesting point.
All right. Condog19 saying, do you think this test could have to do with the problems within SpaceX that have surfaced?
I would assume that he's talking about the Elon email on that. And I'd say likely not. The Boca team is real focused on their test campaign. I'm sure this test has been... Well, actually, I guess we know that the test has been planned for a while because they've been scheduling and canceling road closures since even before Thanksgiving here in the U.S. So I'd imagine that this test has been on the books for a little while.
Yeah, at this point, I have the feeling there's a chart in the office at Boca Chica, and there's like, is it a work day? Yes. Okay, schedule road closure, because
pretty much
so far it looks like every day that is not Saturday and Sunday, it's a road closure.
Yep, it makes it hard to plan around, but always exciting to have road closures.
Yes, completely agree.
All right, I'm seeing a couple questions asking about the video editing. If you're serious about trying to do some video editing, just like Mr. Bergen said, email support@NASASpaceflight.com.
Yeah, or you can DM me on Twitter, or you can email me at jackbuyer@NASASpaceflight.com.
All right, let's see. Where are we at here? About to hit 1:02 p.m. Central Time, so about 5 minutes from our sort of projected time of 1:07.
About that.
All right, Derek Ross asking, after the static fire, what's left in the testing campaign before an orbital attempt?
Oh, there's lots left. Adrian, want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know if they are done with Ship 20 after that, because we thought they might be done after the first static fire, and yeah, here we are. And we also have to see them testing booster 4. Like, I think the reasonable guess at this point is to what is that?
Yeah, what is this? What do we got?
It's weird.
That's hot gas, right? Because it's rising?
It's rising, yeah. Or is it... Could the wind have shifted to...
I don't think so. I think that's hot gas.
That looked like it popped or so. Like it looked like it came up all of a sudden. And
or is it the wind? Now I'm questioning everything.
Yeah, could the wind blow just right to make it kind of blow up the side there?
But it could be like a leak because it's a gun, though. If it now it looks controlled because it's coming back again, right?
It does look like it's shooting upwards, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe it's just regular condensation, but the way the vent is aimed is upward. This is interesting. Yay, new behavior.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not a bug; it's a feature.
Okay, I guess this is now a thing.
They're they're in the firing room, like, all right, guys, we're gonna do a static fire today, but what can we do? What little thing can we add to make everyone still have something to care and talk about? It's like, oh, how about we turn the nozzle on this vent 90 degrees? Brilliant!
Yeah, do that now.
It'll be a hit.
By the way, we can see, I think, the methane tank being a bit different in texture compared to the upper end of the LOX tank. If you look at where these weird vent is ending, you can see a sudden change in color. Between,
yeah, good point. It's not quite
tanks.
A frost ring, but there is a discoloration there.
Yeah. And yeah, that confused me. This whole thing just confused me.
All right, we're getting real close here, and we don't want to risk talking over the static fire if it happens. So we're going to try to minimize our talking for now. So don't think we've left you. We're just kind of taking a breather here while we watch.
Something footprints in the sand. Ours were there with you too, or something. I don't know.
And really quick, I think I can squeeze this in here. We want to say hello to Alderwood School in Aldershot, UK. They're all ready to be astronauts. Hello, y'all.
I'm just going to talk really quick so something happens. But no, this is obviously a really long time between Siren and anything happening, so we're watching closely what happens next. I'll stop talking now.
Also want to point out that if you want to watch for something, watch for the possibility of a deluge system starting at the bottom of the ship. Sometimes it's visible.
Abort. Abort.
Yeah, this looks like an abort.
Oh.
No.
My immediate question is, does that mean the odd venting that we saw was off nominal?
I think if it was, they would have detanked sooner.
Sooner,
At least
yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
feeling.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. As if it was something that was an issue, they would have immediately aborted at that point rather than continuing seemingly with the count. And that wasn't a full depress, but that certainly looked like an abort.
Unfortunate.
Oh no.
That's what tank watching is, though.
Yeah.
Percent sheer boredom and
Yeah, this
1%
feels
really
classic.
exciting.
It's mostly watching tanks, hence the name.
The thing is now we have a clearer view of the base. So if that deluge does happen to start for any reason, we'll see it easier. I'm trying to be optimistic here, but
Way to find the positive in that story.
Yeah, right. We do have a considerable amount of time left in the window. What is it, 5.5 hours or math? I don't want to make me do math. We have a number of hours left in the window, so we're looking good for them to be able to reset and whatnot. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing what will happen next.
I like this comment from Josh Wilson. No whoop for you.
I acknowledge that reference. I acknowledge the Seinfeld reference.
I break for Seinfeld references.
Yeah, it was. What's the sound? What's the sound of the depress vent?
Is it? Is this a question?
Yeah,
Like a
I'm
joke?
not sure.
No, I don't know. What is the sound?
And I'm
like
not sure.
how would you
Yeah,
express it in text?
If the static fire is foop, what's the depress vent?
Poof. It's got to be poof.
Yeah.
Or
Whoop and poof.
meh, I don't know. We'll workshop it. We'll get back to you guys.
Well, I guess a pertinent question is coming from Lexi Phillips. Could they be testing abort systems? I think they've done a lot of that.
Yeah, I was about to say the same mean comment of, I think they tested aborts.
Yeah, I think they've probably had more aborts than they've had ignitions, right? If you did the math.
100%.
Okay. Let's see. We got a couple really generous super chats while we were in silent mode. We've got $20 from Liz McQuaid. Thank you very much. And then we've got Jerwa JWCC saying congrats on 500K with a $100 super chat. That is more than I can afford. I'll tell you that right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jerwa. It's one of those names, it's one of those people that's been around for a long time and on our streams and been a member for a long time and always pops up with the generous support. And so thank you, Jerwa. It's always seen and recognized and definitely appreciated. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and Brian Schmidt coming in with $50. You guys rock. Thanks for everything you do. Well, thank you. And Chris K also saying, firstly, a huge congrats on the milestone. Secondly, today I'll be getting my new Model 3. Let's light this candle.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Yeah. Talk about a milestone. Goals.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that is awesome. Let's see. Darren Alexander came in. Oh, this was an hour ago. Coming in with $20, saying your coverage of SpaceX and Starship is superior. Love the channel. Special thanks to Mary. Thank you very much, Darren. We appreciate that, and Mary does too. Let's see. And for some questions here. And we appreciate it, but most of these are just saying congrats on 500K, and yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate that. It would not have happened, literally, if y'all weren't here, we would not have 500K. I mean, right? You have to have people to subscribe and watch and enjoy.
Do you want to do more super chats before I bring the bad news, or?
Bad news.
Yeah, look at the tank farm to the left.
Bad
That
news.
vent
Oh.
is never good. That looks, and also like the tank. You can see that it was depressed a lot because you can see the condensation now on the whole tank. But yeah, the whole setup looks like, at least if they are going again, they're going maybe for a full recycle.
The flare stack is not, or the former flare stack is not venting.
Oh
though.
yeah, true, Poot. Good point. That's not. We are not at the worst news yet. So let's hope that doesn't turn on. So to explain that in front of the three small tanks is the old flare stack, which is now a vent stack, and usually if that turns on, they are spooling down, at least for that attempt. So let's hope that doesn't. Oh my! It turned up.
Oh,
It
no.
poofed just as I said it.
I'm sorry, guys. I blew it.
No, actually, the vent stack blew it.
You whooped it, okay?
But yeah, if you guys don't know where to look, it's those three small vertical water tanks to the left of the remains of Booster 3 there. The leftmost tank has a metal pole, looks like, in front of it, and that is the former flare stack. Now it is a vent stack. I miss the flare stack. It was always nice when nothing else was happening and you're just sitting here watching the tank. You could always count on the flare stack to be a nice little bright light to stare at.
Yeah.
But now we just have condensation to divine the meanings of, rather than a flare stack occasionally just going absolutely wild. I miss it. Maybe we'll get it back when and if they do that natural gas plant, the power plant.
Jack, was this the second best jinx you ever had on screen?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man! So, are we hoping for a recycle and go again? Is that in the cards? Is it even something to
Yeah.
hope for?
Yeah,
At this point,
I
Yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
we have hours left in the window, right? I don't think there's a difference between a static fire abort and a scrub for the day, which I don't think we're in scrub for the day territory, but we could be. We just gotta sit here and watch the roadblock, watch Starship. At the very least, they're definitely. It appears to be a full detank of the vehicle, and we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see if cars go back to the pad, or if they send a red team out there to do some work and then they leave, or if the road fully reopens. But yeah, that's at least at the very least we can say the first attempt at a static fire today has been aborted.
Bummer.
And for anybody, yeah, okay. Well, you just said it. I was going to say for anyone just joining us, I noticed a question in here if they had missed the static fire, and no, you have not missed a static fire. You've missed what appears to be an abort for now. We're not saying that they're done for the day, but it looks like that attempt was aborted. I also have some suggestions for what the depress sounds like. Brian Miller says, I don't know if that audio. A lot of times when you try to make these kinds of sounds, the noise gate will kill it. So
Yeah,
you may not-
I don't think I even heard it. I don't know if chat did, but I like it just cut out as soon as you hit the first second of a P.
Right. Yeah. And here's another suggestion. Sheesh.
That's actually kind of accurate.
Yeah, Adrian Flower says depress equals woof.
Oh, even better. Yeah, I like that. I like it.
Ooh,
like
that's
that one.
way better.
Also, woo, another Adrian.
When's the next Adrian meeting you guys got there? When all the Adrians meet up? Is that
Every
like next
Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central.
Yeah, right.
Well, we definitely appreciate y'all joining us here and hanging out with us while we wait and see if they're going to give it another go. I think what I might do is drive the mods crazy and ask, where's everybody watching from?
Sorry,
Enjoy the
mods.
break, mods.
R.I.P. in peace. First one is Space Coast.
Yep, Space Coast. All right, me too.
Oh my god.
What's up,
Nassau,
lead man?
Knoxville,
Italy, Victoria, BC,
Germany.
Portland, Maine,
North Wisconsin,
Austria, Canada,
Portugal.
Watch- From Mars.
Netherlands.
Sweden, Germany.
No one else at
UK.
Starbase. Come on.
Oh,
Austria.
yeah? Did you say no one else at Starbase? Or
Yeah,
did you say
no one
Starbase?
else. I'm not
Oh,
not
no.
seeing any Starbase here.
Adrian country. No.
Malaysia,
Georgia.
College Station, Texas. I don't know
Sweden.
how close that is, but I
London.
saw Nebraska, New Mexico, Texas, Switzerland, Canada, Finland, Russia, France.
Space.
I mean, technically, we're all in space.
I mean, technically,
Oh, there
yes.
goes Mary with
There we go.
with Starbase, Texas.
Hey, thanks, Mary.
Mary in chat. That's awesome.
Yeah, try to beat that, chat.
Yeah, got front row seats. Ukraine.
Finland.
Awesome. It's so cool. Yeah, just to see that there are literally people around the world tuning in.
York.
It makes me so happy that
Yeah.
we can bring this stuff to people around the world. It's one of the really cool
Yeah.
things about living in the future. Internet. Future.
Right.
We'll just start
Yeah, we are
streaming
basic-
internet in the future. Ooh, someone said Palmdale. What's up?
Ooh.
Let's be friends.
This stream is basically in orbit because it goes around the world.
Right? Yeah.
I'm
Oh
so
my
sorry.
god, Adrian! Wow.
If anyone's,
I thought I was
anyone-
bad.
anyone's watching via Starlink, make sure to put that in the chat because
Oh,
then
yeah.
we're coming to you from space. That's even cooler.
Oh, yeah. Then, yeah, literally from orbit. Still coming.
Yeah,
Netherlands,
it's not
UK,
stopping.
South Wales. Yeah, I think maybe like sometimes people get maybe a few minutes behind, and then like there's some people just catching up to us asking where they're from.
Yeah, I love that because it's like if you picture chat as a room full of people like chatting and talking, and then like somebody just stands up and shouts Oklahoma. It's just like, oh dude, get with the program. It's 5 minutes ago.
Read the room.
Chris
That's
B.
good. That's good. Let me hit a question or two here. Derek Pearson wondering, does Ship 20 have landing legs just to fit check?
Ooh. Actually,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't
do
think
not
so.
believe so. I know that the old version, 8 through 15's landing legs weren't permanent, and I'm fairly certain that Ship 20 is not planning on landing at the moment. It's going to belly flop into the ocean at the very best case, and if not, belly flop into the ocean in more than one piece. I think in the future they're going to try to catch the Starship with the chopsticks as well.
Yeah.
So perhaps they won't ever really need any legs down there until
They'll
they
need
get to Mars and
them.
the Moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll need them for at least the first flights. Maybe they'll build, a tower with chopsticks on Mars and the Moon at some point. But I would think
Just
that
send a booster that can have chopsticks attached to it, and then land the booster.
There you
on the
go.
Moon.
Will
That's
the
my
build
plan.
of the chopsticks on Mars be in the daily as well? Just to
Yes.
be sure.
Absolutely.
Sign me
If I can find a ticket to Mars, I will volunteer to be the NASA spaceflight correspondent on Mars.
Wait, but I already volunteered.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna have to do like a fight. Like, we'll all fight it out with chopsticks. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I think it's just going to be who can run into the Starship the fastest. So
The
Okay.
big
definitely
NASA
doesn't give me
spaceflight
any
rumble.
imported.
Winner takes it all.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to another question here. Keith saying Elon said 12 launches for 2022 on a web chat in early November. By Thanksgiving, that had changed to 26.
That's
And they're
Elon for you.
Yeah, referring to that email, and I'm not sure all the numbers from the FAA document. It was like they were going to be up to, was it up to 12 per year?
Yeah.
Is what they were
I believe
trying to
it
get
was
approved for?
the FAA environmental filing was for 5 orbital launches and
Yes.
up to like 20, I believe, 10 or 20 suborbital launches. So the first few, they'll be launching from the orbital launch pad and go into orbit. Then after they use those 5 for 2022, they're going to have the oil rig online in order to do more orbital launches.
Or Kennedy.
What? Oh. Too far
Oh
away.
yes.
They have that. They have the beginnings of
Oh.
a Starship pad at 39A. I mean, it's
Boy, I've
the
heard.
beginnings, but yeah. I mean, if they actually were realistically going to hit 26 launches, it'd have to be multiple launch sites. But that's. I mean, we were talking earlier about the email and how Elon's sort of management style is to set an insanely high goal, and then even if they don't get to that super high goal, they still got further than if they had set a quote-unquote realistic goal. But this is just classic Elon. Like, he says one thing publicly, which is already relatively crazy in terms of its loftiness, and then internally he says something even more, and it's all about, I think, motivating the workforce. And yeah, it makes sense.
And
That's
then
not
there's
hey.
stuff on Twitter like, "Hey, we will catch the booster with a tower," and everyone was like, "Yeah, good joke, Elon."
Yeah. Lexi
Here it
Phillips asking, speaking of launch capability, any news on Phobos or Deimos? Not really, I don't think, unless there's something I've missed. But there really hasn't been that much activity over there on those platforms.
Honestly, yeah, there really wasn't. I had someone last week tell me that they thought they saw smoke from Deimos that day, And so I went over and took a little drive over there, and I couldn't see anything new with Deimos. It looks like it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I think there was a report of an oil rig close to it that was had some fire, but it was not it was not the oil rigs for Starship.
Yeah, the tricky thing about the Port of Brownsville is it's not quite like it is over here at Port Canaveral, because there's not really any public access to get in there. Like here at Port Canaveral, on the south side of the channel, we've got all these restaurants and we've got the exploration tower and all these cool things that visitors can do, and you're 100% allowed to be there. But as I found out one day when I went over there, I tried to go snooping around the Port of Brownsville and found out real quick that there's no like public access. There's no roads that just any old person can drive into. So it's a little trickier to get close and see really what's going on with Deimos. And sort of the same thing with Phobos over in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Not really any good spots to get up close without getting into trouble.
And I find that so funny because Starbase is just so open and public.
Right.
And you think of NASA and the Cape as being very restricted, and, you know, it's just kind of the opposite on the port side.
Right. At the port, it's like, yeah, we've got a couple nice areas that you can stand. There's even like a little park area. It's just kind of there's no like swing sets or anything. It's just like a grassy area that you can hang out and you can even fish from. And it's a great place to watch Falcon 9s come in after missions, and also watch the recovery operations. But not every port is the same.
Speaking, just to slide that in here, if you want to watch activity at Port Canaveral, we have a 24/7 camera for that, which you shouldn't watch right now,
which
but
we are
maybe
rebranding
later.
to Pelicam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to enjoy pelicans, you can do there.
Yeah. And sometimes if there's a Falcon 9 on the pad, if we've got a good shot of it, we will show that as well.
Yeah, but mostly it's about pelicans.
Mostly.
Yeah, it's really about that, to be honest.
Yeah, the Pelican had some friends a little bit ago. Had some, I don't think they're crows, but they are black colored birds. They're the ones that go around here. They go.
Are they grackles?
Is that what they are?
It's Starbase. They're called grackles, and
okay.
those birds are so annoying. Sorry, all you bird fans out there.
I love them. It's like they're constantly telling you no.
Yeah, but then there's 1,000 of them, and it's like, go away. I'm trying to think. I can't think with all of you squawking.
Right.
So just
Walker just said Pelican Heavy. I think that's what we need to rebrand all of the Falcon Heavy launches.
Yes.
yeah, I'm for that. So it looks like we are still in, yeah. It doesn't look like it's spooling up again. It more looks like it's spooling down again right now. But what might be good news is that the ice is not really melting yet, I think. At least from what I see, I wouldn't say it's melting yet. And that's at least a good might be a good indicator in the sense that there's still something in this ship. So they might not have done a full detanking of the ship, but only reduced the pressure. I was basically counting down until a deep pressure now happens because I said that. Go ahead.
So once Starship does get launching, John Vanderlaar wants to know, will Ship 20 have catching/handling hooks, sort of like what B4 has?
I believe there are mounting points underneath the flaps on Ship 20, but they are not protruding. They're basically like I don't know, the connector part that you could tell they're not going to put a heat tile over that. It's about the size of a heat tile underneath each one of the flaps. And so I'd imagine with 21 or any of their starships they want to move around with the chopsticks, they'll be able to add those little extension points like they have on the booster.
Yeah, it has been sort of a curious thing to me that because that's a spot on Starship where there's going to be a lot of heat buildup, but then they're also going to need some way to hook it whenever it's coming down to land on the chopsticks. So I still can't really picture how they do that. Maybe is there any kind of a material that they could put there that wouldn't succumb to the heat that could still serve as a catching point?
They could try stainless steel.
Right, but if you heat up the stainless steel, it's that heat's gonna propagate through the steel and into the structure, right?
Yeah, it would. I'm not an engineer.
I'm
I
sure
just
they
take
have
the pictures.
I'm sure they have a really smart way to deal with it. I just don't understand it.
Just put legs on the darn thing. Just put legs on it. I feel like I'm the old man. Like, kids, get off my lawn. It's like, just put legs on it. Come on. What's all this fancy catching stuff? I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. It'll look really cool. But I like things that land with legs. I don't know. That's me.
Right, you heard
By
it
the
here
way,
first, ladies and gentlemen. Jack loves legs.
Landing.
Since I
with
saw
legs.
that question a lot, I kind of want to point out people are mentioning that the tank gets even more frosty for right now, but that is most likely only because the liquid, which is at the bottom of the oxygen tank, liquid oxygen, my god, is starting to boil and becoming gas and basically creeping up the tank wall, and that is what you most likely are seeing here. So this is not the frost rising. They're not filling it up. You can see the real frost ring just above the hatch ending. The rest is just most likely gas that is going up the LOX tank.
Right, and this is a method of controlling your temperature and keeping it cold. Like if you're, say, on a long trip to Mars or something, right? You vent a little bit and it actually reduces the temperature.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because as soon as we saw that big deep pressure vent, that's when it's like that upper portion, kind of the grayer portion of the frost, like that all appeared almost immediately. It wasn't like it was creeping up. It was like it all just kind of started forming right away. Bill P was wondering why there's no methane frost ring.
There was a little bit of a discoloration there. Adrian mentioned it. We were talking about it for a little bit. It was less for sure than the LOX discoloration, and I am not sure the reasons for that. It could just be that there's less methane in the tank. It could be some other reason that I'm not smart enough to think of. But there was a little bit of a discoloration there, and I see Dan Rar BC in chat saying that LOX is colder, which the LOX is, I think anyways, it's a little bit, it's colder. It's densified LOX, so it's super cold. I think they're both cryogenic fuels, but anyways, that's why. Who knows?
I just tricked myself.
What'd you do?
I had the previous static fire open because I compared some timers, and I just clicked on the wrong tab right now, and I was like, "Oh, it's static! Oh no, that was the old one."
So you just trolled yourself.
Yeah, I trolled myself.
Oh man.
Is that a static rolled? Can that be a thing? Sort of like Rickroll? No.
Stroll.
I feel like the jokes are getting not better.
Worse.
Yeah.
Okay, Wolfie in a Forest wanted to know if that's a gash in the side of the ship of side of ship 20 in the lower part of the frost area. I think they're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the gash, like the people were talking about maybe the hatch is leaking, or maybe there's a leak because of that odd vent that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's what they're asking about. I could be wrong, but no, it seems like the integrity of the pressure vessel is solid. That was just an interesting vent. I don't think there's any kind of hole or gash or leak. At least not from what we can see right now.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
With a leak, you would see at first high pressure, and then it's slowly fading out into low pressure as the pressure in the tank goes down. But we can still see that there's a lot of liquid behind this, and there's not really pressure in this. So yeah, it's not a leak, most likely.
Here's a cool question. Mr. Loop asking, does it matter what direction Starship is placed on Super Heavy? I always love to watch the streams. Thank you, Mr. Loop. Yeah. I mean, it goes on one way, right? It's not, I don't think it's a rotatable thing, right?
I say yes, but I can't go into much more detail.
I mean, I'm basically right there with you. It's made to go
chime in and explain why. But
it's made to go one way.
Right. Yeah, there is a basically like a north, south, east, and west of the booster and the ship. Like they have to be rotated a certain way, right? Is that right?
I mean, for starters, it matters because of the QD. Like you need to access with your tower, with your QD, you need to access both vehicles. So at least that is some part of where you put your vehicles and how. So yeah, I would say.
Yeah, and there's like three pegs on the top of the Super Heavy, and then there's corresponding slots on Starship, and it goes the way it goes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The umbilicals have to line up for sure.
I just thought it was, it's an interesting question. Like, what if, can you picture a Starship stacked on a Super Heavy, like, not center? It's like a cursed rocket image. It's like, oh, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. Get it out of here.
Well, I have problems imagining that right now, but I don't want to. So, yeah.
You don't want to happen to Starship what happened to that one Proton rocket where what was it? It was like the accelerometer was installed upside down or something. Rocket thought it was going down when it was actually going up.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah. It's a great video. If you've never seen it, it's a good watch. There's actually lots of footage from different angles, just from people taking videos with their phones.
Frost is going down.
Yep.
Flare/vent stack is just kind of petering out mode. Seems like very little is left coming out of there, but it's still going, so low pressure.
Well, Adrian, at what? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead.
At what point will we know if they're going to try to do a second test here? Because I know that in the past they've recycled stuff and done another go.
So the condenser can be tricky here, because what we saw in the past was that the condenser sometimes, even in detanking, spools up and down again. So what I would look for is a steady state where basically everything is calmed down, and when we then see another spooling up of the condenser and spooling up of the tank farm, then I would get excited again. But right now, it's basically what could happen is either that or that they open the road. Or maybe even, as Jack mentioned before, send just the PET team to the rocket, check some things, and go back. Because while that hasn't happened that much in the recent history, that happened a lot in the early history of Starship, where they just had these long windows, and sometimes they would test aboard, send a team out there, go back, and test again. So that's a possibility.
Yeah. That was very common. For a long time.
All right, I'm going to run through some of these super chats just because I don't want y'all to think that we don't appreciate it. We definitely do. This first one is a question from Tim Mesker, and it is from when we first started, but they're asking, how does today's test relate to the current NOTAM? Are the NOTAMs for any RUDs?
Well,
like, is it kind of a just in case?
Well, the test that they run, if it's a non-flight test, then they don't need to schedule a NOTAM for that. It's just a ground-based test. They're not expecting anything to fly. Now, with SN4, sometimes things do fly when they're not expected to.
Right.
So that's why they have the perpetual NOTAM out, and I believe the NOTAM is up to a ceiling of 10,000 feet currently. So they leave that on. A NOTAM only lasts a month, and so every single month they basically reschedule the same NOTAM. And so it being December 1st, it just scheduled their most recent NOTAM, and I didn't actually look at it. So last month and the past few months were 10,000 feet, so perhaps they've changed it this time, but typically it's 10,000 feet.
All right. And then now I am going to kind of rapid fire some of these. Michael Maxey, thank you very much for that support. Jacob Janowski saying congrats on 500K. Another Jacob, just spelled a little different, saying Penguin Watchers of Boca Chica could be a shirt.
I'm into it.
Grigori saying make regular backups, please. I'm not sure. That might have been referring to something we said early on in the stream. Daniel Wolf saying congrats on 500K. Thank you very much. Charles Gilogly, 500 pennies for 500K. Thank you. Matthew Cable saying shuttle is the greatest. All right. Your MJK, congrats on 500K subs. Well deserved. Dougal saying congratulations. Let's see. Oh, this is actually a good question here. Blue Mod saying, did the Saturn V or the space shuttle static fire on the pad? Also, thank you guys for everything you do for the space community. Anybody want to take that?
I don't actually know.
No idea.
I think the shuttle did. Obviously not with the solids.
Yeah, they wouldn't have ignited the solids, but I think you're right.
But I don't know for Saturn V. That's one I don't know. That's a question for like Scott Manley or Chris G.
Ooh.
Let's see. Peter J. Shaw saying, can always count on Jack to wax poetically with sincerity and emotion. Congrats on the milestone.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice. Paul D. Green saying, really enjoy being able to see what SpaceX is up to. Yeah, we do too. Let's see. Conservative space nerd saying not big on commitment. I'm not sure. I think that one came in when we were talking about the membership. So I guess they just threw us a super chat. But hey, it's a very generous super chat. We appreciate that. Kurt Willis saying thank you for your many hours of entertainment. Thank you for tuning in. And Insane Cable Guy saying congrats on 500K subs. Patrick Stewart, congrats to all you. Congrats to you all on the 500K. It's been a great time. And Brian D, between the pandemic, starting a startup, and dealing with mental health, your coverage of everything has kept me going. No lie, y'all are the best. That is awesome. That's what Chris B was talking about earlier. That is super cool. That this stream, the videos here, and all the work that goes in has been able to help people get through some trying times. Musical Wolves being clever here. Win Texas Tile Watcher shirt. It's not a bad idea.
How have we not thought of that one yet?
Yeah.
That would be Ian's title.
Yes, he's actually tile counter, I would say.
But it doesn't fit the Watcher. Well, okay, yeah, counter. I guess counter is better for him specifically. But I still like Texas Tile Watcher.
And Trek 001 saying NASASpaceflight helped me to get over my suicidal thoughts and defeat my mental health demons. I'll always be grateful to you. Well, that's too cool. I almost feel like that's too much, but it's super cool to be able to to bring this kind of stuff to everybody. But the fact that it helps anybody, that's way better than seeing a static fire or even a launch. I mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what we're doing to provide you with that much help, but I'm happy we're doing it, and I will continue to tell my lame dad jokes. and be hopeful about the future. I mean, come on, this thing that we're watching right now is not insignificant by any means. I think we all know.
All right, Jonathan Sell saying, when do you think Starship 20 and Booster 4 will fly?
Oh yeah, that will be a fun game where nobody here will go wrong. So let's
Yeah,
go. Who
no.
wants to start?
All right,
Tomorrow.
I'll take it first. Yeah, no, that was my guess tomorrow.
Oh.
But if we're gonna be slightly more realistic, I think mid to late January is a safer bet.
Yeah, safer.
Nothing's confirmed, and there's a million and 10 things that need to happen. But I don't know. It seems like they could do it.
Should I move
Adrian?
next?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not sure if this configuration will fly, because if I look at the high bay, which is just a bit to the right, there is another booster coming up, and as we saw before, they sometimes have the tendency to fly updated hardware instead of the old one if they think they have upgrades that are worth to try. So I think the longer the time goes without Booster 4 going to the pad and getting tested, the higher the chance is that the orbital booster will not be Booster 4 but Booster 5. And I think they have a chance to fly in Q1, but I think it will be late Q1. It's just my personal opinion, personal feeling, like late Q1, March-ish.
Yep, March. That's all I got. I bet March.
Yeah.
If I was a betting person.
I would say not January.
Aww.
As much as I want it to be. I do. I want it to be. But there's a lot of work between now. I mean, they've still got to get up to the point where they're static firing 29 Raptors. I would imagine that the first static fire on Booster 4 is surely not going to be all 29, right? They're probably going to work their way towards all 29.
I don't know that
This
I would
stuff
say
is-
surely, but yeah, I don't know. That's a whole nother question. That's interesting. What were you gonna say, Nick?
Yeah, the B4 test campaign is really the big question mark in my mind. As far as legal permissions and stuff, it sounds like they could get that by mid to late January. But the B4 testing campaign is A, something we've never seen before, and B, I think it's going to be quite a bit of extra work here, because right now they have 29 Raptors on the booster, but they have this thrust simulator that they've rolled down to the launch site, and it looks like they want to do some kind of pressure testing and then thrust simulation on with the pressure on the booster. And to do that, they're going to have to take all the 29 Raptors off, the whole booster 4 on this thrust simulator, tank it up to pressurization levels, do their tests, detank it, and then they have to repeat that a couple different times, doing a cryogenic one, and then maybe even taking it a little bit further just to see where the extremities of it are. They have to put back on the engines, then they're going to have to do probably a 9-engine static fire, then maybe a few of those, and then after that they'll probably do a full 29 engine static fire. That's going to be cool. They'll probably do a few of those, and then we can be ready. So like it is going to be a significant amount of work, but if they go really fast, if they push really hard, if they do one of these crazy Elon times, full stack pushes, I think they could do it by mid to late January. I we've been hoping for this orbital flight test for years now, so
Yeah.
Remember, the old Mark 1 was supposed to be a flight prototype.
Yeah, and remember, the booster testing is just 2 weeks away. Ish.
I saw this comment here. It's not really a question, but I wanted to see what y'all thought about it. HEC saying, to clarify the confusion about 26 versus 12 flights, Elon in his email didn't say there will be bi-weekly flights from the start of the year, but that they want to reach bi-weekly flights or launches during 2022. So I think what they're saying is you might not want to extrapolate, bi-weekly to mean that like that's going to be the average over the whole year, right? What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think this could refer to something that, for example, Tesla reports as well, is basically if we had the production rate we have right now, what would be our yearly output? And maybe this is meant in such a way that they're saying, okay, if we had this flight cadence for a year, this would be our yearly output. So basically, they want to be able to support maybe a launch every 2 weeks by the end of the year next year.
Yeah, that's a good assessment.
Yeah. All right, and this one I just did some conversion. I think this is pounds, 100 pounds from Ian Glennon. Wow, as it's December, happy holidays, and thanks for all of your outstanding work over the last year. You photographer geniuses are literally outstanding in your field. Well, thank you very much. It's very generous of you. The support and the words. Very nice of you. Thank you very much, Ian. That's not our own Ian. No, that's a
Nope,
different
that's
Ian.
another Ian.
I know. And Simon Fisher asked, do we actually know for sure that it's LOX and not NOx?
What is NOx?
I think what they might mean is nitrogen, or maybe they mean nitrogen oxide, but I think what they're saying is, how do you know that it's liquid oxygen and not liquid nitrogen? I think.
I mean, it looked like a normal static fire attempt in every way, and including engine chill and everything. So this was 99.9% an static fire or an engine firing attempt. Also, we saw the overpressure notice getting delivered to Mary, which means there's not only nitrogen involved, but fueling and liquid oxygen, because that's why they send out these notices, because they can, there is a case where this vehicle could explode, which we saw before. They can fail, and so you want to warn people that they are prepared that something could fail.
Right. Yeah, because basically nitrogen is inert, so you won't be using nitrogen to create any kind of flames. So you know that it's got to be liquid oxygen in there.
Yep. Also, yeah, good point in chat. There would be no siren.
Right.
So, great point. I completely forgot that, but yeah, of course. They wouldn't warn with a siren if there was only nitrogen in this vehicle.
And we did see nitrogen pop once, right? At least once. I remember a spec. In fact, I think it's in the intro video.
Yeah, SN1 and 3.
MK1.
Well, I guess 3 technically crumpled, then popped.
Yeah, MK1 as well.
And I
there
just
was
think
also
that looks so
nitrogen,
cool,
right?
'cause the clouds just spilling out all over the launch area.
But that's not NOx. I'm still not quite sure what they're going with on that, because they don't tank this thing with nitrogen oxide or nitrous oxide, which is I don't know. Anyways,
we are lacking the knowledge to answer this question.
I mean, I think we can say it's not anything other than LOX, because it's a big tank of LOX.
Right.
It's a LOX tank. Which is a bad explanation when we just explained that there could be there was stuff other than LOX in it before. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay, well, Pat O'Neill wondering, what's the problem with Raptor? Is it just production, or is the core issue performance or reusability concerns? I'm guessing the best we'll be able to do here is guess, right? We don't really know what internally what the issues are.
I think it's just a matter of they need to make a lot of Raptors, and therefore Raptors need to be as inexpensive as possible. And I think they're already relatively inexpensive. It's just they need to make a lot of them, and they need to make them reliably. You don't want to have a case where they can crank out a lot of engines, but in qual a lot of them get rejected. And so maybe they're at a phase where they can build a large number of engines, but they reject a lot in qual, and they have to go back and get tinkered with or something. Or I'm purely speculating here, but it could be a variety of things related to that, or it could just be, maybe they're around the price goal that they want or expected, but it's a matter of they need to make just enough of them in order to fulfill the number of launches that they're going to be wanting to do. It's a good question.
Yeah, it definitely is a great question, because if you look at what the Raptors will need in the upcoming near future, even, Booster 4 has 29 of them. We've seen parts for boosters all the way through to Booster 9, and that thrust puck had 33 Raptor spots on it. So the number of Raptors that they're going to need is going to almost exponentially increase. They need to have, instead of on the scale of 1 or 2 a week, they need to have, dozens a week. And at that rate, that's kind of what the push is to, I'd imagine, with, the kind of the fire getting lit underneath the Raptor teams ends to get them moving. We need lots of Raptors, and they need to work all the time. So yeah, quality, cheapness, scale, all a big problem. But if you look at all of Elon's companies in the past, that's the one thing that he seems to be good at, getting that Model 3 out at scale and hitting a cheap price point. Geez.
Yeah.
Getting the Falcon 9 launch costs down so hard and just making it so almost mundane. When a Starlink mission goes up with another 60 satellites, which is almost a record breaker for the most number of satellites deployed in a single, launch. It's like, wow, that's a lot of satellites, but those are, routine. And that's kind of the magic of Elon's companies, this drive to do really crazy things, and do them cheaply and at scale.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what also about these Raptors, what you said with with quality and quantity, if you look at the serial numbers and then consider which Raptor engines so far flew or were tested on vehicles compared to which serial number they have, there was a lot of gaps between that. So these were either skipped Raptor engines or Raptor engines that were just not flight qualified or test qualified. And it's good if you produce like 1, 2, 3, 4 a week, but you need to produce for the goal. You need to produce flight-worthy engines. If you're not doing that, you're throwing away money because you're producing engines that are not usable. So that's also might be a factor of it.
It's always been a crazy thing to me that they can make these high-performance engines be as reliable as they are. I mean, how many rockets launch around the world all the time, and there's human beings making those and making a lot of them, and it's not always the same ones. Like Falcon 9 is the only rocket that continually reuses engines, and every other rocket they're not using the same engine, so they are able to reliably make these things, and so it's a problem that will be solved, I think. I don't
just
think
a matter
there's
of
a
time.
risk. Yeah.
The Vulcan also reuses engines, the vaporware of the BE-4.
Well, hopefully,
God.
yeah. Hopefully they get to the point where, that's smart reuse there. Hopefully they do get to the point where they do that. You don't hear much about it these days, but any kind of reuse is good, and I hope they get that worked out.
Yeah, I like reusability. I'm a big fan of not throwing things away after one use. That's getting my upvote, no matter who does it.
Yeah, and isn't it crazy? Like nowadays, you always like if I'm like watching a launch, from somewhere in like a public area or something, I get in a conversation with people, and the people ask online a lot too. They'll like if it's say it's an Atlas V or it's a Soyuz or pick your rocket. A lot of times there'll be someone asking, well, is this one landing? Is this one going to be reused? And it's like you say, no. If it's not a Falcon 9, the answer is no. And they're like, oh, well, that's bad. And you have to explain, no, this is fairly new. The Falcon 9 has only been landing since 2015, and it's become the norm. But not everyone has caught up to that point yet, but they are. You got Rocket Lab. They showed us actually the first stage booster for Electron that will be their first catch attempt, and it's really cool looking. It's not black like all the other Electrons have been. It's got this shiny coating on it.
Taking a hint from Starship.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm really anxious to see that. And if you watch the last Rocket Lab launch, they were trying to give us views of the booster coming down. We did not get it, but I would think just because they have cameras in the helicopter that maybe we'll have a better chance of seeing the first actual catch attempt of an Electron booster.
Can't wait for that. I'm so excited for Rocket Lab's recovery program, and I love the idea of just like basically having this recovery idea that totally fits into this small kind of vehicle. Because catching a Falcon 9, which is a bit larger than Electron, would be a bit harder because you would need a bigger helicopter and all of that. But like for a small rocket, as is Electron, it is a really cool idea, and I'm really looking forward to see the attempts on that. And also really curious how fast they will nail it down. Like how fast they get this up and running and can just do this over and over again, because that's in the end the goal.
Yeah, and from my perspective, just like I'm sure we've all seen, and those of you listening, if you haven't seen this video, it's really cool. Rocket Lab has put out a video of them doing their simulated catches with the helicopter, and that portion of it to me looks like they can do that. Like they can definitely, as long as the booster makes it through the atmosphere intact, I think the catching part, they've got that part down. The question is going to be getting that booster where it can come back and be viable still. But the catch part, I think they'll have that. I'm hoping they'll get that first try. All they got to do is spot the thing as it's coming down, which the parachute gives them extra time, and then the helicopter has to get into position and scoop it up.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think the hard part, the hard part makes it sound like the rest is easy, but I think the hardest part is this whole thing about surviving a re-entry and slowing it down.
Have you ever thought about, or wondered if Rocket Lab will eventually decide that they are going to need to do at least a short re-entry burn? Or do you think that they'll be able to get it without it?
At least
I don't know.
Far. I mean, they got one through the re-entering, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they demonstrated before.
Yeah, they've gotten a couple of them back now. Is it just 2, or have they done 3?
I
think it's
2
just
or 3.
2. Yeah, that they've actually brought back on the boat.
But obviously, if you can avoid having a landing burn or a re-entry burn of some sort, that's going to save you a ton of mass to orbit, because you don't have to waste that delta V carrying around the fuel to do the landing burn or the re-entry burn. And that is one of the main issues with the Falcon 9. That's why it's so much more mass to orbit in an expendable mode, where they just dunk the booster out in the middle of nowhere, because it is fairly expensive, mass wise, to carry a bunch of fuel with you to do those landing burns, to do those re-entry burns. So yeah, if Rocket Lab can do it without it, all more to them on that.
Yeah, and I think if I understand it right, being that it's such a small rocket, that those performance hits would be greater if you saved that fuel, right? Like they wouldn't be able to get into as high of an orbit or carry as large of a payload, and that hit would be greater.
I believe their payload, I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe it's about a ton, 1,000 pounds or so, maybe somewhere in there. So they're small sat launchers, so they're not bringing big payloads. So yeah, if you have a 200 kilogram hit of propellant that you have to take all the way up to almost orbit with you, and then back down, I guess the booster's probably not going orbital, obviously, but
Right.
take that all the way up there and take it back down with you. That's over 200 kilograms of payload you can't have because you spent that on propellant. So yeah, if you can engineer it to not need that, you're gonna save a lot.
All right. Well, back to Starship. Let's see if we have some. Oh yeah, I had one here. I was storing. Has there been much testing / activity of the orbital tank farm lately?
Yes, actually, the answer to this is yes. It's in one of our daily videos. There was testing on the orbital pad. There was like a stream of gas that was emitted from the orbital launch pad,
It was
which
billowing.
looked.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
It kind of I had this Stargate vibe of them opening a Stargate on
Yeah.
It looked crazy cool, and yeah, they test it. They are in the stages where they test the launch pad, and we also saw some tests, or at least some venting from the tank farm before. So they are in the progress of getting this ready, slowly but surely.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting to me right now is that, you know, it looks like maybe they might go for another attempt, because by this point, Adrian, would we normally see the road opened by now?
No.
Oh, no.
We are close to where we would see it open, or at least where they're done. But it's not guaranteed. We had some very long detankings before, so it's not like super guaranteed. Sometimes it's just a little bit weird. But the thing is, the recondenser sometimes starts up again, as it just did, and that's the thing that always makes me nervous. But I don't think the vehicle is in a state where they could refuel again, because it still isn't really completely. It doesn't look resetted and detanked to me, because it's still venting.
Yeah, and those little puffs from the recondenser are always why we clarify, like, recondenser activity is like a defined, steady stream of that condensation, not just like an errant puff here and there.
All right. Let's see. Ryan Brookson, is it possible to have a retractable catch point on Starship?
You would think that would make sense, but I mean, they're not retracting the grid fins on the booster, so I hazard a guess that if they can avoid making all the mechanisms and to make something retractable, they will. The question is, can they and will they? But it's crazy the extent to which the best part is no part is the mantra down there in Starbase, and yeah, I don't know.
That is interesting, though.
I do think it's possible, right? Like the shuttle had retractable landing gear. It's possible to have something that retracts through a heat shield and seal the heat shield. It's
right, and then you just have a heat tile on the outside of it.
Yeah, it may be not easy,
No.
but it's been done. So.
But yeah, at that point, you then have to design a system that is not only moving this, but also can sustain the load, which is appearing on that system. So you probably make it more complicated by that. And while it makes sense for shuttle, because it just
Shuttle
fits
was
in.
the definition of complicated.
Yeah, but like that's exactly what they try to avoid. They don't want to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, I
if
would
they
not.
don't have to.
I would be more surprised if the catch points are retractable than if they are not. Basically.
Yeah.
Especially saying that the grid fins on the booster don't even fold down. Like when
Yeah,
I heard that
exactly.
news that they weren't even planning on folding the grid fins down, I was just like, oh, okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Really hope that you don't accidentally move those grid fins during flight, because those things have a ton of control authority. If they're not perfectly in line with the flow of the air, yikes! That could spell some bad things. But that's SpaceX, right? They're not looking to the most over-engineered part or the most elegant solution. They just want to have something that works every time, and 9 times out of 10, having something that doesn't exist works much better than having something that does exist.
Yeah, when I found out about the grid fins, it was like an affront to my nature. I was just like, no, why? Ew, no, I hate it. But it makes sense. I'm not saying I love it, but it makes sense.
It's
I mean, it's solid like
fun.
24 hours to get used to that idea. Go ahead, Adrian. Sorry.
It's so funny for me because it's always things that are weird first suddenly become normal over time with Starbase. At first, when I first saw the renders of the belly flop, I was like, yeah, no way that's gonna happen. That looks crazy. And at this point, it looks, yeah, okay, of course they're going to do this. Then there was this tower catching, and I was like, yeah, okay, no way. And now when I see the renders and what they're doing, I think, yeah, okay, makes sense. I guess they will do that. And it's always this cycle of from yeah, no way to yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, Falcon 9 landing even was that way back in the before times. It's like no way, and then they did it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even to your point with the belly flop, I remember you could probably find streams on this channel of me saying that the belly flop looked crazy, or any variant
That'll never
of
work.
yeah, something like so. It's remarkable how they do that.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks to Tara for pointing this out to us. That so Chris B tweeted out that we had crossed the 500K mark, and apparently YouTube responded to that with a congratulations. That's
Neat.
pretty cool. Yeah, they said an achievement that's out of this world with a rocket emoji. So you can tell they actually gave it thought. At first I was thinking, oh, it might just be like a bot that congratulates channels on reaching certain milestones, but that's actually somewhat personalized just for NASA spaceflight. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, YouTube.
Hi YouTube, can we have our 100K button too? We never got our 100K button. Hi YouTube, if you're watching.
Yeah. Is that the
that
silver
in.
one?
Yep.
Yeah. 100K silver.
Maybe they knew that we were going to hit 500K fairly soon, so they just held out. They're like, they'll hit 500K.
Yeah, we'll save on shipping. It's better for the environment. It'll just send it all at once in one package. It's like the Amazon cart where it's like, do you want your stuff to come together? It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I like it when stuff's delivered together. Sure.
We'll get the 100K and the 500K plaques at the same time. Thank you, YouTube.
And
they said
speaking, oh, go ahead.
And they said we want to save shipping, and we were like, but we are all about shipping. That's all what we do.
Starship
Anyway,
puts glasses on.
Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, speaking of shipping things, if you'd like to ship something to yourself or a friend or a loved one, how about these awesome holiday sweaters? Yeah.
Ooh.
And actually, one of them is actually a T-shirt, but it looks like a sweater. See?
It's like in case you're not a sweater type, or you're not blessed with sweater weather like those down there in Starbase.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm thinking the T-shirt is perfect for me because it's still 75 degrees out here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, winter has not happened in California this year. It's go figure.
And I'm being
the
told
winter
on the
up there.
channel to let y'all know that if you want to get this before Christmas, then you want to order it by the 8th, December 8th.
Ooh.
Do it.
And that will that should hopefully, quote unquote, guarantee that it actually gets there in time. And then once you get it, just head on down to Starbase and sport that shirt.
And come up and say hi. I love seeing people walking around with a NSF merch on. It's always kind of cool to be like, hey, I know where you got that shirt.
Yeah.
I
And
will totally visit you, Nick, next year.
And Nick's pretty easy to find too, because a Starbase, while it's big, it's not huge. It's not this big sprawling area. But if you just go down, just Highway 4 and look for Nick there with a tripod pointing it at something cool, you will see him.
I will be there. So will Mary.
Right. All right.
I just love those little bakery tile things.
Yeah, the
Those-
bakery tile ones.
So perfect. So perfect.
At
Make
this point, I
myself some
only wear
cookies.
NSF shirts. It's yeah. Over time, NSF shirts took over my wardrobe. It's just now NSF polos, Tank Watcher shirt, spreadsheet shirt. It's everything. It's everywhere.
Ah, the spread shirt. That's the
That was
best
a
shirt.
fun day.
That was.
Perfect though, because you never have to wonder if something looks stylish in your wardrobe. Just everything on the merch store is very, very stylish and exhibits your rocket nerdy personality perfectly. So that's why I love the
Yeah.
NSF merch.
It's the kind of
It's
shirt
basically
where
a friend finder.
it's a friend finder. It's the kind of shirt where if you're wearing it and somebody knows what you're wearing, it's like, okay, we can get along. We know each other.
It looks like
Both
the
sat
frost.
virtually watching nothing happen. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
It looks like the frost has started to dip below that black hatch there. There's still a little bit of frost above it, but it's fading. It looks like.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how long. At this point, it looks really, really calm. But no cars on the roads. Nothing yet. We are still here.
Yep, it's I mean, many hours left in the window. It could go either way at this point, but definitely looks like the vehicle is detanked and in a steady state, and we're just waiting for that recondenser to come back on, or for the road to open up in one of a couple different capacities. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Someone was asking, does it go to Europe? I'm assuming they're talking about the merch stuff, and I believe we ship to all of Europe, right?
I can attest it goes to Europe. 100%.
All right. Oh, we already read that one. That was the one about the what direction Starship is placed on Super Heavy. Let's look at this one. How does the LOX and methane not boil off while in orbit or on the way to the moon or Mars? Not all at once now.
I
Don't
don't-
talk over each other.
Oh, I don't actually know the answer to this, but my best guess would be a combination of venting a propellant on occasion to keep the pressures at the correct. Ooh, that's a nice view.
That
Nice
is
boat.
awesome. Yeah.
Very
Boat.
cool view. Distract ourselves from the difficult questions here, and then also the fact that when you're going for a landing burn, especially on Mars or whatever, you're really only going to have propellant in the header tanks, and those header tanks are inside of the other tank. So there's probably a little bit of insulation of, or not insulation is the way we typically think of it, but way that it keeps this direct rays of the sun or whatever from hitting those header tanks and heating it up too much. They probably also will have some evaporators or some kind of method to cool stuff down on orbit as well.
Bonus about
I mean,
being in
that's-
space is it's cold. So while there is going to be some boil off, it's also just already incredibly cold in space.
What also, that's the reason why the header tanks are so not connected to the tank wall, right? Because if you don't connect them to the tank walls, you have less contact with the potential heating up of the outer tank walls, and that helps to keep the header tanks cold and nice, frosty.
That's
I want
brilliant.
ice cream.
Oh, an ice cream.
Maybe
Why,
both.
Adrian? Why?
Stuff some ice cream in there.
Why do you do this to me?
I want ice cream now because it's frosty.
Yes.
Which
Now,
is-
thank you. Now I'm craving like a drumstick or something. This stream not sponsored by drumsticks.
We are all here in the same boat.
Now, the best way to make ice cream is in your oven. All right, I'm done with jokes.
With bacon in it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god, ice cream bacon in the oven.
Whoa.
We are just 2 minutes of talk away from Michael shutting us down.
This is true.
Give us either a recondenser or a car driving by, and we will, well, I guess, not shut up.
Show me recondenser.
No whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
Yeah, right. Like we're like spinning a big wheel. Oh man.
Well,
Let's
I
see.
reckon I could roll through some of these super chats, unless that's what you were about to do, Jack.
I was just bringing up the panel to see if there's some questions or some super chats. So I'll plug some questions into the thing, and you can do the super chats if you like. And if you guys have questions, at NASASpaceflight, and that'll pop up in our queue here.
All right, Jason Hobbs saying NSF rocks. Will Elon fly on Dragon at some point? What do y'all think?
We don't like the honest answer is we don't know.
Right,
but
speculation.
I think so far he has not shown the intention to do that, and like it's only from that I would say as far as I think no. I don't think he will.
He's holding out for Starship.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we know that Elon sometimes tends to be busy, so I guess he really wants to occupy as much as time as he has to the companies he's running.
That's actually a really good point, because the amount of time it takes for training and everything, that would take a lot of time away from the work that he does.
Yeah, I think that's the answer that we've basically gotten from him in various places before, is that while it's something that he would probably do at some point, and no doubt would love to do, he's got more important things to spend his time on right now, and it's more important that he spend that on building SpaceX and building Tesla and not flying to orbit, which is, I mean, he had or has a fighter jet. Like I think it was an L-39, if I'm not mistaken. It was some sort of fighter jet, and he would fly it around. And at some point, I guess he stopped really doing that because one, he probably just stopped having time, and two, there is, as safe as Dragon is, there is a element of risk involved in spaceflight. That's just the nature of spaceflight. So, can't be risking Elon right now on flying to orbit for funsies, because he's got more important stuff to do. But someday, I'm sure we'll see him fly, but not probably not anytime soon.
Yeah, I think his joke has been that he wants to die on Mars, just not on impact.
Nice.
All right, continuing on here, we've got Shadow Ops RC saying, keep up the good work and continuing to bring the inner nerd in this Army vet out. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And Rich F saying, now we need a shirt with Franken Crane on one side and chopsticks on the other, labeled Crane and Future Crane. Not a bad idea. Benjamin Fleming asked, we did kind of touch on this earlier. How will Ship 20 be lifted with the chopsticks? We're sort of unsure exactly like what the mechanism will be, like on the chopstick side or on the Starship side. But they will have some method to basically pick it up from under the forward flaps.
It's really interesting, because I wonder if that means at some point they'll delete those 6 crane points or crane attach points that are, you can kind of see up near the tip where the TPS on the nose cone stops. There's like, what is that? What do you call 6-sided symmetry? There's got to be a fancy word for it, but
hexagonal.
There you go. Words. Yeah. So I wonder if that means they would be able to delete those at some point, which I'm sure we know SpaceX loves deleting parts.
But the thing is, then they would need a smaller chopstick at the build site to stack the nose cone, right?
Hey, you're reading my mind there, Adrian, because they use those not only for moving the whole Starship, but they move the nose cones around inside the tents with those 6, mounting points. So they might go away as far as what we can see after they do the tiling, But at least before the tiling, they do need to have mounting points at least somewhere so they can move the nose cones around.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. Is they would be deleted at some point in the production process, and removed rather than being utilized all the way through the testing campaign.
Yeah.
Like a thing that they like seal up at some point and then put tiles over or put whatever finishing material over if there's going to be some kind of like thermal blanketing on the leeward side or who knows. But yeah, and so it just doesn't visually look. Because I've always wondered, are those going to have, if they, assuming previously in the before time, before the mantra of the best part is no part really seemed to have become so loud down there. We kind of expected they would stick around. It's like, oh yeah, they'll have some kind of retractable, little door that closes, and when it lands, they'll pick it up. The door will open up, and they'll pick it up using those little dedicated attachments. It's like, nope, those might not always exist.
Like this one, Dave Wolf saying, NSF has saved me hundreds of dollars on dog sitting fees. When I leave my 2 pups for a few hours to run errands, I leave Starbase live on my TV, and the waves keeps them chilled out. That is awesome.
That is a new one. Like,
yeah,
that's something I never heard before. Wow. Yeah, if you have a picture of them sitting, yeah, just tweet that at us. That is cool.
Magic Skate saying, "In Mary we trust." And Jettison saying 500k subs down, 500k to go for 1 million. Thanks to NASA Spaceflight and everyone involved. Thank you very much, Jettison. And Ticonderoga, I hope you didn't forget about Elon's Crane Army t-shirt from back then. Still love you guys. Go Starship. Was that an idea at one point? Elon's Crane Army?
I'll have to check our stored channel in here in our Discord. We might have talked about it. I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Sorry.
All right. Randy saying this cast is proof that NSF German rocket scientist is better than everyone else's German rocket scientist. I think they're talking about you, Adrian.
Woo, but I'm not like even the idea that I'm close to a rocket scientist is not accurate. I'm very much not a rocket scientist. I'm just a person that loves to talk about rockets.
You just sound like a rocket scientist because of the German accent. It's perfect.
Yeah, I play one on TV.
It's like it lends you like +5 credibility.
Yeah, I noticed that. It helps. The German accent helps with people trusting what you say.
Yeah, you just get +5 to all your roles. It's like, I'll just believe you. Max charisma.
That Max C or K?
Yeah, Max K. All right, looks like, we've got a couple new questions queued up here. Thank you, Jack. Scott Sims saying, what would happen if you dumped a load of water onto the surface of Mars? Would it be just like dumping water in the desert?
Mars is cold, right?
Very cold.
Yeah.
But
So
low pressure as well.
Oh yeah.
So would it actually boil?
I think it would boil. I don't think it would freeze. The majority of it would probably boil. But I think the other issue is the gravitational force. It'll, boil, but it won't make the atmosphere noticeably thicker. It's what, 2% of Earth's atmosphere pressure?
Yeah, I
It's
think
practically still a vacuum. And adding a bunch of water, yeah, that'll add some steam, basically, boiled water,
water vapor, yeah.
Low pressure, water vapor. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, water vapor. But due to the low gravitational fields and even magnetic fields, that'll all get stripped away pretty quick. And those terraforming Mars videos that's a big problem. We think Starship's a big problem. Terraforming Mars would be a much bigger problem to solve.
Oh, I saw Total Recall. All you have to do is find that thing and put your hand in the thing, and then the big rods come down and then they melt the ice, right? And that's all you gotta do.
Oh, that's all you have to do. Yeah.
I mean, I played Surviving Mars, so I would call myself an expert in this topic, and I think it's very easy. Just to say that.
Pretty sure SpaceX has a T-shirt about how easy it is. You just nuke Mars.
Right. No Bummer saying, is there pressure behind the lower hatch, or is it for plumbing access?
There's pressure behind it. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
so that-
also for access. That's an access hatch, but that is the tank wall that we're looking at.
Yeah. That
So
hatch
bas-
is actually about the size of a person. I see people all the time easily crawling in and out of those, and that is literally going into the tank. So when they have that hatch open and people are servicing them, you'll see those in the daily videos when Mary or I grab clips of people inside of those hatches. They're literally inside of the LOX tank on the bottom there. That's kind of cool.
It's
Yeah,
kind
there's,
of neat when
there's
you.
3 of those hatches, right? There's the one for the LOX tank, one for the methane tank, and then that top one that we can see is for the nose cone barrel area. Imagine climbing into any one of those. How cool would that
Oh,
be?
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's always what is really cool about this vehicle. Like, what we see is the tank wall. It's not that there's a tank in this. This is the tank.
Right. You're looking at the tank. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always like a cool thing, I think, because that's just a tank with a lot of stuff attached, basically. And but yeah, I just love to imagine that you can stand in there and touch the tank wall, and it's also the outer wall, and yeah, I love that
Pretty cool
idea.
to see them close those hatches up too, because those things are not light. They can't just be picked up by somebody. They actually have like a ratchet system on there, right? You've seen that, right, Nick? Where they're cranking on something to lift that hatch up into place, and then they put it in the hole, right?
Yeah, actually, you mentioned that, and I can't think of a time where I've actually seen them closing the hatch. I've seen them, being in the hatch and having the hatch open and then seeing it closed later. I don't think I've actually ever seen them open or close a hatch.
I think
So
I saw maybe just one time, but yeah, they it basically looks like a socket wrench that they crank on, and it's like the hatch has a chain on it, I guess, and it lifts up, and then that way they can position it, and I'm guessing it's like, imagine trying to pick up a manhole cover,
yeah. Oh yeah, it's heavy for sure. It's
Yeah.
like, meter circular, almost kind of oval shaped piece of steel. Not light.
Yeah.
You basically could hear how Nick just added that to his bucket list, where he's like, "Yeah, why haven't I seen that? I should see that."
Right.
Totally. I'm gonna be watching out for that.
Yeah. Let's see. Walter Waitman saying hello from Arc Audio in California. Do you think they will try again today? Well, it's been probably 15-20 minutes since we've asked this question ourselves. So what do you think? It looks like that frost ring has dropped considerably.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of room in this window. It's not like they can. The question always is, why did they abort? Because they obviously there was some sort of issue why they aborted. So the question is, can they fix that remote? If yes, they might. If not, then they first need to go to the pad. And that's always like the thing with these aborts. There's a reason for an abort. Sometimes it's maybe only fuel temperature that is not in the right conditions, or just a bad sensor reading. But even if it's only a bad sensor reading, you want to check out why. And yeah, so we will see. I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't bet against it. I'm 50-50 to use the diplomatic answer.
All right. David Dean saying, and we have talked about this already, but it's been a long stream, so maybe we can touch on it again. Any thoughts on Elon's email to the employees, the Raptor production issues, and potential SpaceX bankruptcy? And Chris B was on here earlier. Does anybody want to kind of try to summarize? Because I thought he made some good points there, but you guys want to try to maybe...
Oh, well, I mean, SpaceX isn't going anywhere. I mean, the Falcon 9 program's just fine. You know, they're pumping out rockets left and right over there. I really just think that email comes down to Elon's management style. We've seen lots of people write even books about it, you know, how Elon is the kind of guy who sets these really crazy, ambitious goals and says those publicly. Then he goes into the team and he sets even more crazy, even more ambitious goals to the team. And yeah, they don't get to make those sometimes. A lot of times they don't make those goals. But, you know, if they don't shoot for the moon, then they'll never hit low Earth orbit, or whatever the colloquialism is.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going bankrupt anytime soon, but I understand, like, I don't think it's him saying this is 100% hyperbole. Like, it's grounded within the realm of possibility, given that they need to launch thousands and thousands and thousands of Starlink satellites to get that up and running and generating its revenue, and that's a huge capital outlay. Plus, they have to build all the terminals, the user terminals, which are insanely expensive. I think they lose like hundreds or like $1,000 on each user terminal that they sell, hoping that they'll recoup that back in service, you know, the customer subscribes to. And the cost of those need to come down. The cost of the Starlink satellites need to come down, and building that whole thing out, building out Starlink is a huge, huge expenditure. And if they can't get the V2 version, or whatever you want to call it, the next version of Starlink satellites that are bigger and presumably going to ride on Starship, they can't get all that going. You know, that is where all of that comes from. So it makes sense, but it's, you know, it is really, I think, like you said, a motivational tool largely, but grounded within the realm of possibility. It's like, hey, if we don't get this right, we're not going to be able to hit the milestones that we need to hit and launch all the things that we need to launch to generate the revenue that, you know, we can make the bills, pay the bills with. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the next question was basically the same thing, so I'll just throw that up there. Michael Hassick, we appreciate that support. And then let's see, I'm going to run through, hit a couple new memberships. Bruno Espada, thank you for the Pad Rat membership there. And I think I saw a couple other good ones down here. Jonathan Sell with a Launch Director membership. Paul Sorensen with the Pad Rat membership. And remember, if you want access to that Discord, you would want to join at the Capcom level. Paul Sorensen doing a Red Team membership. And Aaron Poe with a Pad Rat membership. All right, thank you very much, y'all. That really does mean a lot to know that there's folks out there that are willing to throw a couple bucks our way each month.
Yeah, thanks so much to all of our members. It's really awesome. The super chats are so appreciated. Hitting the like button, hitting subscribe is so appreciated. I mean, look at how much we've been whinging on about. Really appreciating everyone subscribing for the 500K milestone. It really is. Every form of support that is out there, we really, really appreciate. But seriously, thank you to the members. I see another one just came in. Did you just read Anthony Avila as Capcom? That's awesome. Seriously, thank you all to our members and Discord members especially.
All right, and Simcha wondering, is the January Super Heavy launch date still realistic? Which we did sort of discuss earlier. I think we all agreed that. Well, I think Nick was still hoping. Of course, you know, Nick's down there. You know, he's going to be hoping that it's next week.
That's part of the bias of being down here. Like, you watch them do all these crazy things right in front of you every day, and from month to month, like, I have a few friends who come down, you know, every couple months, like, you know, Steven or other people who come down, you know, not every day, you know, And me watching the progress every single day, it's like, well, yeah, of course Bucky's over there. And, you know, to someone else, it's like, oh, wow, Frankencrane's not here anymore. What's going on with that? And you can just, I find myself all the time just kind of getting lost in the weeds. And so when I say, yeah, I think they could do January, I've seen them work fast before, and I know they're not working fast right now. Like, over Thanksgiving weekend, like anyone who's been watching the daily videos knows that it's kind of been, you know, slow, which, you know, it's fine. There's slow times and there's fast times, but I just know that they could be going faster if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's kind of like, well, if they really wanted to, they could be done. They could be ready in January, but whether or not that'll actually happen, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like when I've been down there, you know, I usually get there during the week, and then when like Sunday rolls around, it's quite a bit different. It's like there are a lot fewer people here, which is good. You know, you got to give your folks some time off. But yeah, it's like most of the days it's just go, 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 and then sometimes, you know, yeah, you could definitely tell a difference.
Yeah, and like when they were doing the full stack push over the summer, it was 3 times busier than the average busy day, and they held that cadence for over 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm sure it burned a lot of people out, and it was a lot of work, but I was able to witness them going that fast, which makes me think if they really wanted to, they could go that fast again.
Which begs the question, why are they not going that fast now?
The FAA. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that would be a logical answer for sure.
If they can't launch, I have every reason to believe that, you know, if they went Warp 9 again, probably could throw something together by the end of the year, ready for launch, you know, like do all of B4's testing campaign and get ready to go. Like they could, in the realm of possibilities.
Probably de-scope a whole lot of things, but yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'd skip a few steps, probably have to, you know, maybe skip a static fire or two and just hope that it all works on the first try. But, you know, they could. I've seen SpaceX work that fast before. So I guess that's kind of why I give the mid-January to late January, like, really hopeful. Obviously, if it's March, whatever. It'll happen at some point. That's the cool thing about SpaceX. I'm never worried about it not happening. Like,
right.
It might not happen today. It might not happen this week. It might not happen this year. Eventually, it will happen. Because I saw Elon Musk stand in front of Mark 1. You know, obviously, I was watching on the live stream like everybody else. And he said that that Mark 1 would fly, you know, do a 10-kilometer suborbital flight. And I remember being like, what? That's crazy. No way. And guess what? Mark 1 is now a cafe. But we've seen 15 do it.
Didn't he even
you know?
say
So
Mark 1 would be orbital? Like, he called it an orbital prototype? I feel like he did.
I think he said Mark 1 to 20 kilometers and orbital flight in 6 months. But he didn't specify if it's Mark 1.
But yeah, I mean, I remember that sort of thing back, like before Falcon Heavy flew, Nick. It's the same deal where it's just like, you know, it's gonna happen. It's Falcon Heavy is always 6 months away.
Right. Man, I remember that. Yeah.
And it finally did. It finally did happen, and it was amazing. And yeah, it seems like we're on a similar situation.
So like time
that? I wasn't watching then.
No. There's like no concept of time down here. It's kind of funny. The days just all blur together. You know, most
it's a reality distortion field for sure.
It is 100%. Like more powerful than Steve Jobs' reality distortion field being in Starbase. Like time is so stretchy. You can be like, yeah, remember like I'll be talking with Mary and be like, yeah, remember like 3 weeks ago they were moving that one test tank down, and she looks at me and she's like, Nick, that was 2 days ago. Sometimes it's the exact opposite of that conversation. Like, yeah, I remember a couple days ago they were doing that. No, that was like 3 weeks ago. There's no concept of time down here.
Yeah. Speaking of concepts of time, we've been chatting in the back channel, and I believe what we're going to do is we're not giving up on a potential static fire today. We're going to spool back up if activity begins, but what we're going to do right now is throw you over to Starbase Live, so you shouldn't have to do anything if this works right. So we are going to leave y'all in the capable hands of the Starbase robots. So we appreciate y'all coming along, and so far we've got an abort for today, but hopefully we will see some action later. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll go live if we see something.
Yeah.